Chapter 1083. Daoist Dao, Yi, and the others felt the energy fluctuations rising from the core area and saw Lu Kuan chasing after them. Their faces were pale, and their eyes were filled with fear. Lu Kuan's speed was almost 30 to 40% faster than the three of them. It was only a matter of time before he caught up. Although Daoist Dao, Yi failed to break through to the soul formation stage, he could sense the energy of heaven and earth. He felt that as Lu Kuan flew, more and more energy of heaven and earth gathered towards his body, giving them more and more pressure. Dao Lord Black Flame's face was full of regret. Dao Yi, you've really screwed us over. Master Lu's strength is much stronger than what you described. That terrifying power is probably comparable to the soul formation stage. You actually said that his control of the energy of heaven and earth is mediocre. Chun Mingzhu said in a panic. What should we do now? With Master Lu's speed, even if we can escape from the Demon Island, we can only struggle for a while. Daoist Dao, Yi's expression changed. His eyes flashed with regret. He couldn't understand why Lu Kuan's combat strength was so much weaker than it was 100 years ago. Had he been hiding his strength? Or had he broken through again? However, from Lu Kuan's performance, if he had entered the soul formation realm, he wouldn't have been trapped by the little nightmare formation at the beginning. Just by relying on the power of his primordial spirit, he would be able to easily suppress these people. In other words, Master Lu had been hiding his strength for more than 100 years? Daoist Dao, he said reluctantly, calm down. The alliance contract hasn't lost its effect. Although we activated the formation to trap him, we were just breaking the restriction of the Demon Island. We barely took advantage of the loophole. But if Master Lu wants to kill us, our souls will be suppressed by the power of the restriction. We might have a chance to escape. Just as the three of them were panicking, Lu Kuan's thick divine thought enveloped them. His voice was full of killing intent. Where do you think you're going? If you want to return to your respective sects, Lu might have to go through you one by one. Before Lu Kuan could finish his sentence, a black flame suddenly lit up on Dao Lord Black Flame's body. The escape light outside his body separated from the other two and landed at the side. He hurriedly said, Master Lu, I was bewitched by that old fellow Dao Yi. I have no intention of harming you. If you want to kill me, Black Flame is at your disposal. After losing the support of Dao Monarch Black Flame's escape light, Daoist Dao Yi and Chun Mingzhu's escape light was greatly reduced. When they heard his words, they both revealed a look of shock and anger. Immortal Dao Yi roared, Master Lu, I was also forced by the Xin sect. These cultivators of the great Zhou dynasty are the real culprits. We can help the Pavilion Master break the central restriction. If we delay for too long, they will escape. As they spoke, Lu Kuan's body had already surpassed Dao Lord Black Flame's, who had stopped. He did not attack this person. His spiritual consciousness, which was filled with killing intent, was still locked in front. When Chun Mingxing saw this scene, a hint of ruthlessness appeared in his eyes. He gritted his teeth, and his spiritual light shone brightly. He copied Dao Monarch Black Flames and separated Daoist Dao Yi's escape light. Soon, a violent airflow surged. Chun Mingxing looked at the trembling magical power shield and heaved a sigh of relief. At this time, Daoist Dao Yi was no longer in the mood to curse. After losing the support of the two people's escape light, his speed was greatly reduced. Looking at Lu Kuan's posture, he was determined to kill him. Damn it, isn't he afraid of the backlash of the soul restriction? Daoist Dao, he felt the incomparably turbulent power. He could not care about anything else. His escape light stagnated, and a mini three-legged cauldron appeared above his head. Dense clouds drifted out and protected his body. In the next moment, Lu Kuan's sturdy body came to Dao Yi's side. A layer of silver light flowed on the surface of his body. After flying for dozens of miles, he had accumulated a lot of yuan qi of heaven and earth. Boom! A huge fist with dense light hammered on the shield. A wisp of ethereal will flowed in the clouds and mist, like cotton, dispersed the terrifying power. Although there was a violent tremor, the white mist above only dimmed a little. The power of will humph. Lu Kuan sneered. The origin force field around his body flowed rapidly. He turned his fist into a palm. At the same time, the surface of his elbow and knee joint lit up with a thick halo. His burly body was extremely agile. He rotated along with the layer of cloud and mist shield. His palms carried an invisible vibration force, and he continuously slapped on the cloud and mist shield. After each palm, his elbow and knee joint were like some kind of hammer-like magic weapon and immediately bombarded. This ethereal cauldron contained a wisp of ethereal will. It was extraordinary. Even under the cover of Lu Kuan's interception fist, it could still absorb sufficient yuan qi of heaven and earth. But Lu Kuan's current vibrating yuan palm was more than twice as powerful as before. Even with the obstruction of the cloud and mist shield, the vibration force still continued to hit. The meridians and dantian in Taoist Dao Yi's body were constantly trembling. The power of the nascent soul almost did not listen to him, and he could not summon magic power for a while. Without the support of magic power, the shield activated by the ethereal cauldron dimmed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Lu Kuan, you can't kill me. The contract restriction. Before he could finish his words, the cloud and mist shield shattered, and the ethereal cauldron was sent flying by an invisible force. Without this strong defense, Taoist Dao Yi's own magic power shield became fragile. It was broken in an instant, and his body turned into a cloud of blood mist. At this moment, a ball with a silver vortex appeared in front of Lu Kuan and directly trapped a chubby nascent soul. This was a battle skill that he had not used for a long time, the Origin Force Cage. Taoist Dao Yi's nascent soul suddenly felt an endless force squeezing him. He could not use the teleportation technique, and even the power of the nascent soul could not be mobilized. After Lu Kuan entered the middle stage of bone transformation, the invisible force of the Origin Force Field also reached 1,200,000 kilograms. The battle skill was displayed to perfection, and he captured the other party's nascent soul in one fell swoop. Immediately after, a cloud of gray, broken dragonstone powder appeared out of thin air and was injected into the Origin Force Cage. It wrapped the frightened nascent soul in layers and put into a mirror box. Not far away, the ethereal cauldron and Taoist Dao Yi's storage bracelet floated in front of Lu Kuan under the effect of the void power. He simply glanced at them, put them away, and turned his head to look at the two people in the distance. Dao Monarch Black Flame and Chun Mingzhu were dumbfounded. Lu Kuan's strength was higher than Taoist Dao Yi's, and they were not surprised at all. Even if the three of them joined forces, they would not be his opponent. But they did not expect Lu Kuan to be able to ignore the soul restriction and attack. The power of the contract they signed before seemed to be a joke. Seeing that Lu Kuan had forgotten to come over, Dao Monarch Black Flame shuddered and said, "Master Lu, please spare our lives. We were all deceived by Taoist Dao Yi." Chun Mingzhu also hurriedly said, "Master Lu, the real culprits are those two guys from the Great Zhou dynasty." Lu Kuan's figure flashed, turned into a stream of light, and landed in front of the two. He said indifferently, "Is there a way to open the restriction in the middle of the Demon Island?" Chun Mingzhu hurriedly nodded and said, "Yes, even if it's just me and Dao Monarch Black Flame, we can weaken the restriction in the middle by more than half. With Master Lu's attack power, we can completely break it." He spoke quickly, afraid that Lu Kuan would attack. Moreover, Xue Tianyu and the others just used the restriction of the Demon Island, and this huge formation is in chaos. The nodes of the formation are unstable. It can't be opened from the inside in a short time. But if it takes a long time, then it's hard to say. "Are you sure?" Chun Mingzhu was like a chick pecking at rice, and he wanted to swear, "I can guarantee it." Lu Kuan said coldly, "I think you guys have seen that Lu has a way to avoid the power of the contract. If you don't want to die, open the restriction as soon as possible." Yes, we will do our best to help." Chapter 1084. In the central mountain range of Demon Island, at the junction of demon chi and spirit chi. Lu Kuan looked at the two people activating the array plate not far away. Although they were enemies, he still admired Chun Mingzhu's attainments in array formations. The mystery of the restriction here was told to Chun Mingzhu by Xue Tianyu, but the latter was able to discover the weakest point immediately, which was the junction of demon chi and spirit chi. This was also the place where Tian Renjia opened the restriction 300 years ago. With a flash of light, a double-headed spine appeared in Lu Kuan's hand. He held the middle spine with both hands, absorbing the stored demon chi while recalling the divine ability he used not long ago. In fact, as early as the silver dragon iron merged into the bone, he thought that the bone treasure could use the silver dragon iron to change its size. However, this divine ability was difficult to achieve before. One of the reasons was that he needed to refine the bone treasure and carve a layer of miniature array formation on it to activate the silver dragon iron's characteristics. Even if he only refined the surface of the bone treasure, he still needed the magic power of a great cultivator to burn it. The 5 essence flames in the lava cave had to be fused together to barely meet this requirement. Another reason was that the muscles couldn't withstand the changes in the bones. In the early stage of bone transformation, if the bone treasure expanded, even if the muscle elasticity wasn't weak, after being stretched several times, the muscle fibers inside would break one by one. What kind of power could an enlarged skeleton exert without the support of muscle strength? But when he entered the middle stage of bone transformation, everything was different. At this time, the extensibility of the muscles had broken through a limit. Blood could also be transformed into muscle fibers and added to the original muscles. Even if they were stretched several times, there would be no problem. Xiao Hongfei's disappearance made Lu Kuan a little vigilant. To be safe, he used the essence of the strange fire to carve a transformation array on the bone treasure with the help of Fang Yuan and her brother. With the current stretchability of his muscles, 5 times the length of his muscle fibers was already the limit under the condition of maintaining strength. So after activating the silver dragon bone treasure's transformation divine ability, his body grew 5 times larger, turning into a 3-foot-tall giant. However, his internal organs didn't change, condensing in his chest. The strongest aspect of this divine ability was not the increase in strength, but the expansion of the range of the origin force field, multiplying his control over the origin chi of heaven and earth. However, this technique consumed a lot of energy. Just activating all the bone treasures in his body required a large amount of magic energy, and the operation of the origin energy field consumed more than 5 times the energy. Although Lu Kuan had not been fighting for long, he had already lost 30% of his mana. In the future, as the blood transmuted more muscle fibers, the mana would become denser. Lu Kuan's Abhijna could even continue to grow. His control of heaven and earth's yuan qi would reach a terrifying level. Thus, he named it Transcendence World. Lu Kuan quickly recovered his demon energy. He muttered in his heart, "The demonic ape transformation is somewhat different from Transcendence World. If I follow the former's transformation, then I seem to have a clear direction for the middle stage of bone transformation." Behind the silver-white restriction in the center of the demon island was a bottomless demon abyss, which led straight to the bottom of the island. Thick, pitch-black demon chi was everywhere. Xue Tianyu floated in the air under a certain restriction. Spiritual seals surged in his hands as he continuously controlled the formation plate in his hand. However, the white restriction before him only trembled slightly and didn't open. Peng Yuanhua was beside him. He looked at the green jade ruler in his hand, and his expression was still a little absent-minded. He murmured, "This dark green ruler was forged by Martial Uncle using a small piece of Tai bluestone as the main material, imitating our sect's chaotic universe sword. Although it is much weaker than the chaotic essence sword, the Tai green light it emits is invisible and formless, just like the void spirit sword chi. It is indestructible and is a spirit treasure imitation that focuses on attacking." The first few attacks were very difficult for the monster to withstand, but after he transformed, he easily withstood them. The Yuan Qi halo around him can only be a Yuan Qi manifestation divine ability. Could it be that this guy is already half a step into the divine transformation stage, but he hasn't comprehended the power of will? How can he control so much Yuan Qi of heaven and earth? Peng Yuanhua couldn't figure it out at all. He had been taught by his martial uncle, so he knew a lot about the divine transformation stage. Only when the power of will merged with the nascent soul and formed the power of primordial spirit could one truly control the Yuan Qi of heaven and earth and turn it into a divine ability instead of simply absorbing it. It was just like the difference between absorbing spiritual qi and casting a divine ability. Lu Kuan's situation just now showed that his control over the Yuan Qi of heaven and earth was far beyond the level of a grand cultivator. He was only a little bit weaker than a real, divine, transformation stage cultivator. But the strange thing was that he didn't comprehend the power of will. Otherwise, their spirit treasure imitation wouldn't be able to control the Yuan Qi of heaven and earth. Shui Tianyu looked at Peng Tianyu, who was in a daze, and said, "Old Monster Peng, since that guy has comprehended the Yuan Qi manifestation divine ability, he is no longer someone we can deal with. Unless a divine transformation stage cultivator intervenes, or we have a real divine spiritual treasure, we are no match for him. The most important thing now is to escape. Hurry up and help me find a stable node. Although that monster can't break the restriction, if we force Dao, Yi, and the others to weaken it, he will definitely be able to force his way in." Peng Yuanhua heard this and couldn't help but shudder. He quickly infused his magic power into his eyes and cast a secret technique to find the node that was a little chaotic in the restriction. But at this moment, the silver-white restriction a few hundred feet away lit up with a dazzling light and began to shake violently. He's going to break in so soon? The two of them sensed the movement of the restriction, and their faces changed drastically. Peng Yuanhua gritted his teeth and said, "Let's fight it out with him. At most, we will sacrifice our own cultivation and explode this spirit treasure imitation to activate all the Tai green light. As long as we can escape, I will definitely ask Martial Uncle to come out." Shui Tianyu said with a serious face, "Brother Peng, have you forgotten that the second Tai green light pierced through his heart but didn't hurt him? Obviously, his body is completely different from ours. His bones are like a mature magic treasure, his head has a strong defense, and his internal organs have the ability to dodge. Even if you use all the Tai green light, it will be difficult to injure this monster." Speaking of this, he lowered his head to look at the deep demon abyss and muttered, "But here, we may have other ways." Peng Yuanhua heard this and was overjoyed. "Brother Shui, do you have a good plan?" Shui Tianyu quickly said, "The demon ring was refined by the senior of our sect who studied the demon race. In addition to being able to demonize cultivators, it can also control demon corpses. We have investigated before. There is a suspected demon king's body in the demon cave below. As long as I consume a large amount of blood essence, I can control it with the demon ring." As he spoke, he flew into the depths of the demon abyss. Peng Yuanhua followed closely behind and said, "Although it is the body of a demon king, it has lost its soul. Even if it can barely hold Lu Kuan back, its attack power is not enough." Shui Tianyu said, "This Shui still has a demonic artifact. Humans are unable to fully display the power of this artifact, but in the hands of demons, it is not inferior to a divine spirit treasure. The true demonic will within the demonic artifact can be used as a medium by the demon king's body. This is equivalent to having the help of a divine spirit treasure. As long as we can injure Lu Kuan, we will have a chance to escape. A divine spirit treasure. Okay, we will listen to Brother Shui." The two of them sped up and quickly disappeared into the dark demon Qi. Chapter 1085. At the bottom of the cliff of the demon abyss, there was a cave exuding purple-black demon Qi, with a layer of seal flashing at the entrance. Shui Tianyu and Peng Yuhua landed outside. The former formed a seal with his hand and said with some relief, "The seal we set up before can buy us some time." With the opening of this layer of array formation, in addition to the denser true devil chi, there was also a hair-raising aura that overflowed. Even great cultivators like Shui Tianyu and Peng Yuanhua felt a chill run down their spines. The two suppressed the panic in their hearts and flew in as the array behind them closed again. This cave was very vast, occupying an area of 1,000 feet. On the surrounding stone walls, there were flashing yellow and white light curtains, emitting a unique light gray mist that filled the cave and mixed with the demon chi. In addition to a large number of scattered bones on the ground, there was only a huge demon pool with a diameter of 8 feet in the center. 2 hideous corpses were lying in it, and the true demon water inside had already reached the bottom, leaving only a few inches high. The surface of the 2 corpses was covered with purple scales, and there were foot-long bone spurs protruding from their joints. Their faces were covered with thick scales. In terms of appearance, other than the sharper nose and the layer of scales, they were similar to humans. Although there wasn't the slightest trace of soul aura, the chilling aura was coming from these 2 devil corpses. From the outside, their bodies were very full and full of strong muscles, not like corpses that had been lying there for countless years, but as if they had just died not long ago. However, one of the demon corpses was badly damaged. Everything below the waist had disappeared. From the broken part, one could still see the strange, pitch-black organs inside. They were immersed in the water of the true demon and had a purple luster flowing around them. It looked very strange. Although the other corpse was relatively intact, the scales on its legs were a little fragmented, as if most of them had been stripped off, and the bone spurs on its knee joints were only half a foot long. Shui Tianyu and Peng Tianhua's escape light landed outside the demon pool. Although they had been here once before, when they approached the demon corpses, they still felt an uncontrollable fear in their hearts. At this moment, a slight tremor suddenly came from the ground. Even the spiritual light of the restriction on the walls of the cave trembled twice. Not good. Lu Kuan has entered the demon abyss. Shui Tianyu's face changed, and he couldn't care about anything else. The demon ring flew out directly and landed in the true demon pool. The purple-black light on it shone brightly, and the true demon water inside quickly rushed into the imitation spirit treasure. He gritted his teeth and spat out a fist-sized ball of blood essence that contained pure demon chi, which turned into a light and entered the demon ring. In an instant, the treasure glowed brightly and turned into a dark purple hoop that wrapped itself around the head of the demon corpse that was still in perfect condition. The demonic corpse, exuding a terrifying aura, suddenly opened its eyes, and purple halos gushed out from within. The true demonic water in the demonic pool surged, as if it was cheering, and poured into the demonic corpse's body through the medium of the demonic ring. Of demon, of the demon race. Demon king of wait, something doesn't seem right. Of Lu Kuan quietly floated above the demon abyss, followed by Dao Monarch Black Flame and Chun Mingzhu. His powerful divine sense spread out in all directions. After entering the late nascent soul stage, his divine sense could cover an area of 100 miles. In addition to the dense demon chi in the demon abyss, there were no other seals, so it was easy to detect. Lu Kuan frowned slightly and looked at the bottom of the demon abyss. There's the aura of a formation there, and it seems to be a cave. In order to seal the demon soul, the Yuan sect can't have any other way out. Are they going to fight like cornered beasts? Or was there an ambush? Lu Kuan secretly became vigilant. Although his combat strength was stronger than Shui Tianyu and Dao Monarch Black Flame, he would not underestimate them. The two of them planned before making a move. After secretly learning enough information, they attacked Lu Kuan. If he hadn't broken through to the middle bone transformation stage, it would be hard to say who would emerge victorious. Pavilion Master Chun, you opened the Demon Island before. Have you already entered the Demon Abyss? Chun Mingzhu said respectfully. Before the opening of the Demon Island, it had always been hidden in the void. Those two people had the legendary boundary-breaking talisman in their hands, which was why they were able to enter. How could they let us use such a rare item? Lu Kuan touched his chin and said, "There are no more demon souls in the demon abyss. At most, there are some demon corpses. Do they want to set up a formation to trap Lu again?" Chun Mingzhu heard this and smiled bitterly. The Grand Nightmare formation just now is the strongest formation they can use. Even if they have some precious formation plates, how can they trap Master Lu? Lu Kuan glanced at the dim white seal behind him. How long can this weakened seal last? Chun Mingzhu calculated with her fingers and said, "Through the arrangement of the spirit gathering formation, it can last for at most 4 hours. After this time, unless Master Lu finds a way to break it from Shui Tianyu, we will be completely trapped inside." Lu Kuan nodded and flew towards the abyss. "Come down with me. If you can kill these two, Lu might spare your lives." Hearing this, Dao Monarch Black Flame and Chun Mingzhu relaxed and followed closely behind. After a while, everyone landed at the entrance of the cave. Lu Kuan looked at the Demon Dao formation and sneered. The force field outside his body spun, and the demon chi hidden in the dense demon chi was directly absorbed by it. Even the halo of the formation in front of him dimmed a little. His right fist was covered in a thick layer of black halo, like a stone pillar, and hammered forward. The restriction spirit light on the array shattered, and a restriction spirit light on the array shook violently, shattering the spirit light on top of it. But at this moment, Lu Kuan suddenly felt his body tremble, and his muscles tensed up subconsciously. Immediately after, a burly figure with flashing purple scales rushed out of the collapsed formation's spiritual light. He waved something emitting a purple halo in his hand and smashed it towards Lu Kuan. "What's that?" Lu Kuan's expression changed. The figure's speed was extremely shocking. He could only see his silhouette, but the terrifying power seemed to be monstrous. Fortunately, he had been vigilant and quickly used the severing fist combat technique. Blood surged to his arms, and the muscles on his arms swelled rapidly. A layer of black halo formed by demon chi covered his fists. That ball of purple light collided with his fists. Boom! Lu Kuan's pupils shrank. He felt the devil yuan chi on his fist dissipate, and a sharp power that seemed to be able to split the sky and cover the earth struck his fist. A huge purplish-black halo exploded, and terrifying demonic chi surged. Dao Lord Black Flames and Chun Mingzhu, who were more than 100 feet away, used their respective defensive Dharma treasures to block the remaining power of this attack. Their eyes were filled with horror. Bang, bang, bang. Lu Kuan's burly body staggered back amidst the explosion of the halo. He stepped on the solid rock ground at the bottom of the demon abyss, creating several holes. Half of the flesh and blood on his fists had already collapsed. Even the silvery bones of his palms were showing a trace of undetectable dimness. Lu Kuan revealed a somewhat bewildered expression as he looked forward. The burly purple body did not seem to be in a good condition either. It was also sent back to the cave entrance by Lu Kuan's violent power. There were bone spurs and purple scales on its body. It was obviously the corpse of a demon king. However, the sturdiness of its body was even more burly than Hong Yuntian's demon zombie body. Its flashing scales and full muscles made it look like a living demon. Wait, what's that? Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with a golden light. He looked carefully at the purple eyes of the other party. In those eyes, two painful faces were reflected. They were screaming at him silently with their mouths wide open. From the looks of it, they were Shui Tianyu and Peng Yuanhua. Chapter 1086. Lu Kuan looked at the strange look in the demon corpse's eyes and the demon ring on its head, and understood what had happened. It seemed that the two of them had tried to use some secret technique to control the demon corpse, but for some reason, they had been devoured instead. He glanced at the demon corpse's eyes and focused all his attention on the weapon it was holding in both hands. This was a giant axe that was 5 feet long, matching the height of the demonic corpse's body perfectly. The bronze handle was engraved with complex and strange patterns, and on the purple gold edge of the axe, there was a purple light flashing, outlining a strange symbol. These patterns and symbols were very similar to his heaven hammer. A demonic artifact. Lu Kuan's expression turned serious. In the collision just now, he could feel that the demon corpse's strength was only 500,000 kilograms, but the strange fluctuations coming from the axe had directly absorbed his demonic yuan. I didn't expect a demonic artifact to have such terrifying control over demonic yuan. The absorbed demonic yuan has no effect on me at all. Instead, it only strengthens the demon corpse's attack. I have to avoid it. These thoughts flashed through his mind, and Lu Kuan directly rushed over. After being repelled, the demon corpse seemed to be furious. Purple light flashed in its eyes, and it waved the demon axe with both hands, fiercely chopping forward. A large amount of demonic yuan in the surroundings seemed to be under some kind of unique control, forming a purple-black axe shadow in front of the demon axe. This 1-meter-long phantom axe didn't reveal any aura. It was just like an ordinary magic spell as it shot forward. Lu Kuan didn't know why, but when he saw this axe shadow, he felt his heart palpitate and even felt a little dizzy. His face sank, and he stepped into the void, causing the air to explode. His body instantly deviated from his original path, dodging the purple axe shadow, and arrived at the demon corpse's side. The demon corpse didn't seem like a corpse without consciousness. It reacted very quickly, waving the demon axe with both hands and sweeping it to the side. As it waved, the halo on the axe blade became brighter and brighter. Lu Kuan's expression didn't change. His left arm swelled up, and the muscles on it looked hideous and terrifying like small hills. There were also silver vortexes circulating on its surface, like a flesh shield blocking his side. At the same time, he put his right index and middle fingers together and stabbed the left eye of the demon corpse with a silver conical spiral. Before the blade of the axe could hit the flesh shield, it was pulled away by a powerful force. It only grazed the edge of the muscle, making an ear-piercing sound of friction. Lu Kuan's body didn't even sway as he continued to thrust his whirlpool finger forward. The demon corpse's purple eyes flickered. Its upper body slightly leaned back and its left shoulder shrugged. A foot-long bone spur on its shoulder blade suddenly shot out like a black spear and collided with Lu Kuan's whirlpool finger. Clang! The crisp sound of metal colliding was heard. The demon corpse's body staggered and took a big step back. The bone spur on its shoulder was intact, but the black halo on it had dissipated. Lu Kuan didn't expect the demon corpse to react so quickly. Moreover, the demon corpse's bone spur was also supported by demon yuan qi, which blocked the whirlpool finger. However, since he had the upper hand, he wouldn't stop. The fingers on his right hand turned into claws, and a conical spiral appeared at the tip of each finger. The demon yuan qi was gathered at the tip of each finger. 3 of the fingers were facing down, and 2 were facing forward. Although the whirlpool claw had dispersed the penetrating force, the 3 fingers facing down were still able to block the bone spur, while the 2 fingers continued to attack the demon corpse's eye. Suddenly, an invisible force surged from the front. The surrounding air became incomparably thick and pressed against his body. Physical source strength. Lu Kuan's expression changed slightly. His body trembled, and an even more turbulent force field surged out of his body, sweeping away the invisible force around him. But at this moment, the shadow of a purple axe shot out from behind. It was the demon axe attack that he had dodged at the beginning. It had actually turned back. Lu Kuan snorted coldly. The blood qi in his body surged, and the muscles on his back instantly swelled up like an inverted triangular tortoise shell. There were many densely packed miniature vortexes on it. At the same time, the Xiaoling's soft armor on his body lit up with a gray light. Boom! A glaring purple sun rose, and a terrifying wave of demon yuan qi overflowed in all directions. Lu Kuan felt a power that caused his heart to palpitate as it slammed into his back. The demonic energy in his body churned violently as the miniature source force vortexes in his body spun madly, attempting to absorb the demonic energy. Even so, his body was uncontrollably blasted away. His eyes flashed with a strained look. A few wisps of purple halo flowed from his back to his right hand through the source strength field. The fingernails on his index and middle fingers glowed brightly for a moment, turning into two purple streaks of light that quickly flew out. Almost in the blink of an eye, the demon corpse in the distance let out a painful roar. Two pale silver fingernails were embedded in the scales of its closed right eye. Bang! Lu Kuan's burly body smashed into the stone wall at the entrance of the cave, making a dull sound. The yellow-white light curtain above shook and flickered. At this moment, he snapped his fingers with his right hand, and the blood in his body surged. The two silver fingernails in the demon corpse's eyes burst open, and an astonishing destructive force spread out. Pale purple blood spurted out of its eye sockets. A hole appeared in its right eye, and even the black brain matter inside could be seen. However, the surface of the brain matter was circulating with a layer of black halo, and it seemed to be unharmed. At this moment, a panicked shadow of a small person gushed out along with the blood mist. It seemed to want to escape into the distance, but a black ray of light came out from the brain deep in the eye socket and sucked the dim soul back. Lu Kuan slid down from the stone wall to the ground. The Xiaoling's soft armor shrank, revealing his sturdy upper body muscles. His back was dotted with black and purple spots, and the majestic power of qi and blood was mixed with a fierce aura. Lu Kuan's body quivered, and tins of blood balls burst out from his back. The filthy blood splashed all over the rock walls and the ground. In the blink of an eye, these blood balls transformed into wisps of devil power and dissipated in the air. He looked gloomily at the demon axe in his opponent's hand. His muscles had reached the level of a mature magic treasure, and the muscles on his back were incomparably broad. His defensive power was higher than the front. A part of the purple axe shadow was first absorbed by the source chi vortex, and then weakened by the Xiaoling's soft armor, but still caused him considerable damage. The Demon Yuan Qi Axe Shadow contained an incomparably condensed energy that wantonly destroyed his muscle fibers and tried to squeeze into his body. Lu Kuan had no choice but to transform his flesh and blood, turning his muscle fibers into blood and expelling this energy from his body. The muscles on his back squirmed twice and recovered. Although he looked unscathed, he had lost a lot of blood. If the attack of the Demon Yuan Qi Axe Shadow had been more concentrated, this strange condensed energy would not have been so easy to expel. A spell technique that can condense Demon Yuan Qi into a substance. Could it be the Demon Yuan Qi manifestation that Peng Yuanhua spoke of? The power of a demon artifact is so terrifying. Back then, I didn't even display the true power of the Heaven Hammer. Lu Kuan was shocked. After the demon corpse held the demon artifact, the strength it displayed exceeded his understanding of the demon race. Physical source chi, a strength of 500,000 kilograms, no less than a mature magic treasure's bone spur, and its organs are protected by demon yuan chi? What level of demon is this? Could it be the kind of high-level demon general that has comprehended physical source chi as mentioned in Hong Yintian's letter? Although its physical strength and source chi are only 500,000 kilograms, it can flexibly control demon yuan chi and even form a shield of demon yuan chi around its organs. It doesn't have the power of will, and it doesn't use physical source chi to control demon yuan chi. Is this demon corpse special, or is it using the demon artifact's ability? Lu Kuan narrowed his eyes and looked at the demon corpse not far away, whose aura was gradually calming down. Excitement rose in his eyes. With a flash of light, he grabbed the vibrating yuan brick in his hand, and his burly body rushed over again. Chapter 1087. Dao Lord Black Flames and Chen Mingzhu stood outside the cave, looking at the purple and silver figures intertwining with each other with shocked expressions. Dao Lord Black Flame's late-stage nascent soul, divine sense, could barely detect the details of the battle, while Chen Mingzhu could only see two blurry figures. However, she could clearly sense the terrifying fluctuations of the demonic essence. In addition to the two figures fighting, there were two broken corpses at the edge of the Devil's Pool in the center of the Devil's Denver. There was a bloody hole in their dantian, and their souls and nascent souls had disappeared without a trace. Coupled with the small soul person that came out of the demonic corpse's eyes, it was not difficult for them to deduce that Shui Tianyu and Peng Yuanhua might have tried to control the demonic corpse, but they were swallowed by it. Dao Lord Black Flame's divine sense surged as he carefully observed the situation inside. Although it seemed that Lu Kuan had the upper hand in the battle, the demonic corpse's body was also terrifying, and there were no signs of injuries. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva. To be able to withstand Pavilion Master Lu's attack with just his corpse-transformed body, this ancient demon is too terrifying. As he spoke, a ball of black flames surged out of his body, turning into a flame shield in front of the two of them. Together with the few exquisite array discs set up by Chun Mingzhu, they felt a sense of security. Dao Lord Black Flame's excitement of advancing to the late-stage nascent soul realm had long disappeared without a trace. Although his Black Flame divine sense was not weak, Dao Lord Dao, he had the ethereal cauldron, a powerful treasure that had been passed down for many years. His dermic powers were incomparably dense, and his strength was stronger than his. The two immortal cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty even had replicas of divine spirit treasures. This kind of powerful dermic treasure that controlled the heaven and earth essence qi had a great suppression on other grand cultivators. There was no need to talk about Lu Kuan. In Dao Lord Black Flame's opinion, this person probably had the combat strength of the soul formation stage. Even if they, the late-stage nascent soul realm experts, joined forces to ambush him, they could not do anything to the owner of the body refining pavilion. However, this strange demonic corpse in front of them could actually fight Master Lu. What kind of strength was it? Everything that happened today made Dao Lord Black Flame feel like a frog at the bottom of a well. For a moment, he had a lot of thoughts. Bang, bang, bang. Muffled sounds of collisions could be heard. Lu Kuan circled around the demonic corpse's tall body while waving the seismic yuan brick in his right hand. Layers of shockwave energy spread out from the brick and bombarded the demonic corpse's left shoulder one after another. At the same time, the 1,200,000 kilograms of physical origin strength turned into an endless force field, restricting the demon corpse's speed and suppressing the opponent's origin force field. The demonic corpse only had the strength of 1 million Jin, which was much weaker than Lu Kuan. It could barely move its body and could not avoid the bombardment of the seismic yuan brick. Its arm muscles were numb under the constant vibration force, making it difficult for it to wield the demonic axe. However, there was a strange energy in its body that constantly surged into the demonic axe. From time to time, it would surge out a miniature axe blade made of yuan qi. Lu Kuan's left arm muscles were like a huge flesh shield, blocking the side of his body. The origin energy vortex and wriggling muscle lumps on it easily blocked these weak origin energy blades. Moreover, his left hand was in the shape of a knife. Whenever he had the chance, he would bring out a layer of sharp halo and cut at the shoulder joint of the demon corpse's left arm. Boom! The purple scales exploded and scattered. Under Lu Kuan's continuous attacks, the scales and muscles of the demonic corpse's shoulder joint finally shattered, revealing the purple-black bones inside. However, there was a layer of purple halo on the shoulder joint. When Lu Kuan's hand chopped at it, the demonic yuan qi gathered in his hand suddenly collapsed and strengthened the shoulder joint. He did not seem to have expected this. While he was in a daze, a bright purple axe shadow surged out from the demonic axe and bombarded the flesh shield on Lu Kuan's left arm. The terrifying power of yuan qi erupted and directly blasted his body away. Lu Kuan's body retreated several feet away. He shook his left arm, and a few bloody holes appeared on it, blasting out the condensed energy in the demonic axe. The bones and joints are also strengthened by demonic yuan qi. He frowned. This demonic corpse's defensive power was a headache. Its scales and muscles were not bad. Although they were made of good materials, they they were not as good as a matured magic treasure. He could always break them under the continuous bombardment, but he did not expect that its internal defense was even more terrifying. Its internal organs and bones were strengthened by a layer of condensed demonic yuan qi. It seemed to be on the same level as the manifestation of yuan qi. With his attack power, it was difficult to break through. Lu Kuan's attack speed was faster than his opponent's, but the demonic corpse's reaction was not much slower. It could always find an opportunity to counterattack. This was already the third time it had been hit by the axe formed by yuan qi. He narrowed his eyes. The demonic corpse stood motionless in place. A purple-black energy flowed out of the demonic weapon and flowed to its injured shoulder. The muscles and scales on it recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Lu Kuan muttered, "The demonic ring has been knocked away by me. The demonic corpse's abnormality must be due to this demonic weapon." He had tried to seize the demonic axe before, but when he held the demonic weapon in his hand, an incomparably condensed yuan qi energy suddenly erupted from it. His hand was easily shaken off. So Lu Kuan thought of cutting off the demonic corpse's arm to cut off its connection with the demonic weapon. The demonic corpse has demonic yuan qi protecting its body. It can also recover its body through the demonic weapon. The time it can stay in the demon abyss is limited. I must capture this demonic corpse as soon as possible. He put away the seismic yuan brick, and his burly figure rushed out again. The demonic energy in his body surged rapidly. The miniature arrays on his bones lit up one by one. His muscle fibers swelled up, and his whole body grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. His body, which originally did not even reach the demonic corpse's shoulder, had grown to a height of 10 meters. Layers of demonic yuan qi surrounded his body and condensed towards his right arm. Lu Kuan's right palm instantly turned into a flashing black devil claw. It was filled with incomparably dense devil yuan qi, and it grabbed towards the devil axe. The demonic corpse seemed to feel a strong threat. It did not continue to heal the injury on its shoulder. An even more dense and strange energy gushed out of its body. The demonic axe shone brightly and fiercely chopped at the descending palm. Boom! The concentrated demonic yuan qi in Lu Kuan's huge palm seemed to be even more powerful. It actually suppressed the purplish-black light on the demonic axe. His thick fingers pinched the axe's blade and pulled it back. Roar! The demonic corpse let out an angry roar. A soul force came out of its body, accompanied by the brutal aura of the true demon intent. It madly poured into the demonic weapon, and a dazzling light lit up from the axe's blade. A terrifying explosion sounded. Lu Kuan felt an even more astonishing energy coming from his palm. His 10-meter-tall body had no choice but to stagger back under the influence of this force. It hit the edge of the central demon abyss. The demonic corpse was also not in a good condition. It was also sent flying. However, its hands were still tightly holding onto the demonic weapon. Lu Kuan's face sank. Dharma Idol's control of yuan qi comes from the wide range of the source force field. The yuan qi manifestation of this demonic weapon seems to have directly transformed yuan qi into a higher level of energy. It's like rich spirit qi can't compete with spells. Thinking of this, his eyes flashed with a rebellious look. So what if my control of yuan qi is not as good as the opponent? What if I add a more terrifying power to the foundation of Dharma Idol? If the spirit qi is so thick that it forms a storm, it can also extinguish spells. A whirlwind rolled up around Lu Kuan's body. The true demon water in the demon abyss, under an invisible suction force, rushed towards him. Almost in the blink of an eye, the bottomless pool of water was sucked dry and swallowed into his mouth. Then, with a flash, he continued to rush toward the demonic corpse. The power of blood essence in his body surged and mixed with the water of the true demon. A ferocious bloodline power, with his sternum as the core, spread throughout his body. Demonic ape transformation. The 10-meter-tall body, under the influence of this bloodline power, continued to expand. The bones in his body creaked rapidly. The muscles became thick and long, and the hair on the surface of his skin turned into thick black hair. But strangely, Lu Kuan's demonic ape arm did not appear to be the size of a full arm, and the proportion of its body was normal. The 5-meter-tall body surged with a terrifying aura, and the demonic Yuan Qi halo around it quickly condensed. Lu Kuan felt the strength of his body continue to grow as the demonic ape body appeared. 1. 5 million Jin. 1. 7 million Jin. 1. 9 million Jin. It was not until 1. 99 million Jin that his strength stopped growing, as if it was stuck at a certain point. While his body was transforming, Lu Kuan had already arrived in front of the demon corpse. To the demon corpse, his 50-foot-tall body was like a giant that could support the heavens. The ape's hand that was covered in black hair emitted an even more intense black halo as it once again grasped the edge of the demon axe. The demonic corpse's purple pupils suddenly surged with a look of shock and anger. Following a painful scream, an even richer spirit Qi was injected into the demonic artifact. Lu Kuan's ape face felt the demonic artifact's frantic struggle in his hand, and a look of fury appeared in his eyes. His other arm suddenly pounded his chest. It was as if all of his bloodline power had erupted, and an extremely brutal aura soared into the sky. The strength of his body, which had stagnated, once again increased to 1 million Jin. At this moment, Lu Kuan suddenly felt that the demonic Yuan Qi around him was within reach. The source strength of his body began to revolve again, and a demonic palm made of a black halo suddenly appeared around the hand holding the demonic axe, exuding an incomparably brutal aura. The purple-black halo on the demonic artifact shattered, like a scream of fear. The demonic artifact that had been firmly grasped in the demonic corpse's hand finally broke free and was pulled out by Lu Kuan. As the demonic artifact broke free, the purple light in the demonic corpse's eyes quickly dimmed, and the aura of its body completely dissipated as it fell straight down. And after Lu Kuan seized the demonic artifact, the demonic palm around his hand also dissipated. The huge demonic ape body shrank back, and in a few breaths of time, it returned to the size of a normal person. Lu Kuan staggered and fell to the ground, not paying attention to the demonic artifact that had fallen. He blankly stared at his own body. Chapter 1088. Lu Kuan recalled the blow not long ago, and his face suddenly paled. His 5 viscera and 6 bowels suddenly emitted a strong throbbing pain, causing his body to curl up. He hurriedly looked inside himself and found that at some unknown time, his internal organs had become incomparably dim. They had lost their previous luster and were like withered leaves hanging from his blood vessels. What's going on? Lu Kuan's face paled. The blood essence in his body quickly surged into his viscera. Although there was a lot of blood, his organs still had a withered appearance. With a serious expression, he immediately sat down cross-legged. The life force in his body rapidly surged, pouring into his viscera through his spine. According to the early bone transformation cultivation method, the life force circulated in his viscera, nourishing them with this unique energy. After a full hour, he opened his eyes. Feeling the moisturized viscera, he murmured, "Could it be that in the last move, when I erupted with all my blood essence, I overdraft my viscera?" Lu Kuan recalled the scene from before. He had used the demonic ape transformation on the basis of Transcendence World. In this way, not only did the radiation range of the source force field maximize, but the power contained in it also greatly increased, further strengthening his control of heaven and earth Yuan Qi. But what Lu Kuan didn't expect was that when his physical strength increased to 1.99 million genes, it stopped. And after the demonic corpse erupted with soul force, the power of the demonic artifact reached its peak. For a while, it couldn't pull out the demonic axe. Unwilling to give up, he simply erupted the remaining true demonic intent and most of his blood essence. His strength continued to increase, crossing the barrier and reaching 2 million genes. When this terrifying power spread throughout his body, Lu Kuan instantly felt that the surrounding demonic yuan qi suddenly became within reach. When he had just entered the bone transformation stage, relying on the primal chaos five elements body, although he could sense heaven and earth yuan qi, he could only see it, not touch it. Even Transcendence World only used the wide radiation range of the source force, combined with the operation of a battle skill, to draw in a large amount of yuan qi energy and concentrate it on the attack to increase its power. However, the moment his physical strength reached 2 million kilograms, Lu Kuan suddenly discovered that the origin energy field did not even need to use any combat skills to easily absorb the energy hidden in the devil qi. After being controlled by the origin energy field, it directly formed a demonic yuan qi palm. This wasn't just a simple absorption. Rather, it was a transformation of the demonic yuan qi into the physical form of some kind of spell technique, which then fused with the palm. It looked just like a magic tool's essence axe. It had truly reached the level of essence manifestation. Lu Kuan looked very excited. Although this supernatural power consumed an astonishing amount of energy, swallowing more than half of his blood essence and a large amount of water of the true devil, and even damaging his internal organs, it allowed him to discover a brand new continent. It was as if he could control the heaven and earth yuan qi with just his terrifying strength. 1 million gene of force was the limit. He recalled the feeling of absorbing the qi of heaven and earth not long ago and murmured, when one's strength increases to such a level, he can affect the qi of heaven and earth and use the qi manifestation divine ability. The instantaneous attack power has probably reached the level of the soul formation stage. Condensing essence from the void and essence manifestation. It's better to use 1 million gene of physical strength as a brand new unit of strength. It's called the power of one origin. Lu Kuan spat out a mouthful of turbid air. Suppressing his excitement, he stood up and stretched out his hand. A massive amount of void power gushed out, grabbing the giant purple-black demon axe in his hand. Just as he was about to investigate, he felt a strange energy that was like a soul and it will rush into his knowledge seat along his arm. Lu Kuan coldly snorted and a ball of silver energy surged out of his hand. The magic energy filled with destructive aura rushed into the magic tool. The soul energy let out a blood-curdling scream and shrank back. The light on it also quickly dissipated. If it weren't for the weight of more than 30,000 gene, it would have looked like an ordinary giant axe magic tool. A magic tool with an artifact spirit? The strangeness of the demonic corpse is probably caused by the artifact spirit. He pondered for a moment and waved one hand. A large mass of dragon-breaking stone powder appeared and wrapped the magic tool in layers and put it away in the storage space in his ribs. Soon after, Lu Kuan arrived in front of the demonic corpse. His divine sense penetrated his body and carefully sensed the almost intact corpse. Apart from the unique aura of the body's source qi, the energy used to activate the demonic artifact had disappeared. There's a soul aura? Lu Kuan frowned and suddenly looked at the demonic corpse's eyes. The purple eyelids that had been blasted open earlier had already recovered. He stretched out 2 fingers and pushed up the scales. Suddenly, an incomparably dim shadow shot out and collided with an invisible force field. A silver vortex ball wrapped around it. This little person turned into an old man. It was Peng Yuanhua. After seeing the figure in front of him, he said in an embarrassed tone, "Master Lu." Lu Kuan didn't talk nonsense. His vigorous divine sense surged over and directly used the soul-searching technique. In just an incense stick's worth of time, an astonishing restrictive force gushed out of the little person's soul and turned into a cloud of mist and disappeared into the air. Lu Kuan's expression became serious, as expected of the top sect of the Great Zhou dynasty. The Oath Stone is extraordinary. Just touching on the secrets of the supreme, profound sect destroyed the soul. Although he didn't find much information about the supreme, profound sect, he understood how the demonic corpse changed. A light flashed in his hand, and a purple jade ring appeared. It was Shui Tianyou's demonic ring. This replica spirit treasure has a unique ability. It can use the spirit treasure as a medium to temporarily refine the water of the true demon for its own use. Not only can it bind the enemy, but it can also demonize and enslave them. Shui Tianyu using the demonic ring was probably just an opportunity. The real trigger should be the demonic artifact. Lu Kuan looked at the demonic corpse again and carefully probed it with his divine sense. He didn't find any other soul auras and said with some regret, "The two's nascent souls have become the demonic corpse's nourishment." Shui Tianyou's soul was probably exhausted in the battle just now. Otherwise, I should have been able to get a lot of useful information from the soul-searching technique. He shook his head and did the same. He wrapped the demonic corpse with Dragonbreaker stone powder and carefully placed it in another soft rib, separated from the demonic artifact. Then Lu Kuan walked to the center of the demonic pool and took Shui Tianyu and Peng Yuanhua's storage bracelets in his hand. With a sweep of his divine sense, a green jade ruler appeared in front of him. He looked at this treasure curiously. I didn't expect it to be a replica spirit treasure made of Tai green stone. It can activate the legendary Tai green light. No wonder it's so powerful. 2 divine spiritual treasure replicas and a demonic artifact with an artifact spirit. I wonder if I can study some of the mysteries of the divine spiritual treasures. After putting away the storage bracelets, Lu Kuan looked at the demonic pool again. He looked at the demonic corpse that only had half of its body left and showed a thoughtful expression. Only the lower half of the body of the Black Fiend Demon King and Tian Renjia is at the level of a Demon King. Could this corpse be the original body of the Black Fiend Demon King? But the scales and bone spurs of these 2 demonic corpses are similar to the high-level demon generals of the Devil Refining Cave. Did they degenerate with the passage of time? Thinking of this, he carefully looked at the broken body. The surface of the internal organs inside was flowing with a unique essence. They looked like living things. Strange. Why are the internal organs and muscles so full? Wait, the magic formation here? Lu Kuan looked around. He was busy fighting before and didn't pay attention to the surrounding rock walls. The gray mist and black demon chi that gushed out were mixed together. If he didn't look carefully, he wouldn't have noticed it. Golden light flashed in his eyes. He was surprised to find that the gray mist rippled and entered the incomplete demonic corpse in front of him, especially the waist part. Lu Kuan couldn't help but ponder. Entering the demonic corpse didn't weaken the water of true demon. I learned from a Black Fiend Demon King that this is the place to destroy the demon soul. But with the magical power of the ancient cultivators, how could they not destroy the demon soul? Looking at the demonic corpse in the demonic pool, Lu Kuan suddenly had a bold idea. Is the real purpose of the demon island to preserve the demonic corpses? That's not right. Even if there are 2 demon king corpses, why would the Yuan sect go through so much trouble? Lu Kuan was a little confused. He put away the broken demonic corpse and looked around. The source force field around him surged to his feet, turning into a strange vibration force that was transmitted to the ground. Layers of black rocks were shaken into gravel and poured into his storage space under the influence of an invisible force. This place had been soaked in the true demon pool for countless years and had long become a land of demon stones. Without the water of true demon, Lu Kuan wouldn't waste so many demon stones. Chapter 1089. After Black Flame and Chun Mingzhu saw Lu Kuan collect the demon stones on the ground, their anxious hearts finally calmed down. In just over 2 hours, they had broadened their horizons. The 30-foot-tall giant was already incredible, but in the end, it could also become a 50-foot-tall giant ape. Regardless of whether it was the 10-meter-tall giant or the even larger demonic ape, they were all existences with corporeal bodies. They were completely different from the illusions of spells. They could not understand how so much flesh and blood could gush out from the tiny human body. And when the ape snatched the demonic axe, they felt the suffocating power of its primordial chi. Only now did Black Flame and Chun Mingzhu understand that Master Lu did not show his true strength in the previous battle. Whether Lu Kuan entered the soul formation stage or not, it made no difference to them. He was still an existence that they could not match. When Lu Kuan returned to his human form and sat cross-legged to cultivate, the two of them waited outside the cave obediently. However, as time passed, they began to become anxious. If the restriction above was completely restored, they would be trapped here. Although they were extremely anxious, Black Flame and Chun Mingzhu did not dare to do anything strange. If they went out alone, what would they do if they were investigated? As for entering the cave to wake Lu Kuan up, they did not dare to do so. If they were mistaken for having evil intentions, they might not even be able to keep their lives. Fortunately, Lu Kuan woke up in time. There was still half an hour left, which was more than enough. As a large number of demon stones disappeared, Lu Kuan's figure flashed and came to the cave entrance. He glanced at Black Flame and Chun Mingzhu and said expressionlessly, "Let's go up." After saying that, he turned into a ray of light and flew into the sky above the demon abyss. Tao Lord Black Flame and Chun Mingzhu hurriedly followed. After 15 minutes, accompanied by a series of explosions, a small opening appeared in the white restriction in the center of the demon island. 3 figures came out one after another. Lu Kuan looked at the white restriction light screen that closed again. An invisible force spread out in all directions, and the source force field enveloped the 2 people beside him. He said calmly, "The cultivators of the great Zhou dynasty have been dealt with. It's your turn." Tao Lord Black Flames and Chun Mingzhu felt the pressure in the air and had no intention of resisting. Black Flame forced out a smile and said, "Master Lu didn't make a move immediately, which means that we are still of some use to him. Pavilion Master, please tell us the price." When Lu Kuan heard this, he was a little surprised. Instead of answering directly, he asked, "Pavilion Master Chun, has your Star Moon Pavilion already submitted to the Daoyi sect?" Chun Mingzhu was shocked and quickly denied. The Star Moon Pavilion and the Daoyi sect are only allies. Although our pavilion is proficient in the art of formations, there are very few nascent soul cultivators in the sect. Only by forming an alliance with the Daoyi sect can we barely protect the resources of the Chu country. Lu Kuan did not say much. He turned his head and asked, "Brother Black Flame, the Scorching Sun sect should have allied with the Falling Cloud Valley, right?" Tao Lord Black Flames hesitated for a moment and said honestly, "To be honest, Master Lu, our sect and the Falling Cloud Valley have been allies for a long time. If the cultivators of the state of Zhou did not join in, I'm afraid that Brother Han and I would have joined forces with other forces to deal with the Daoyi sect." When Chun Mingzhu heard this, his heart skipped a beat. However, he thought about it and felt that it was reasonable. In the past 100 years, the Daoyi sect relied on their close relationship with the Demon Clan to seize many spirit veins and resources openly and secretly. In the face of a top cultivator like the Daoyi sect, the Scorching Sun sect could only swallow their anger. However, now that they had 2 strong cultivators in the great Daoyi sect, their power had increased greatly. Naturally, they had to think of a way to take back the resources. Lu Kuan pondered for a moment and said slowly, "If you want Lu to spare you, the price is to contribute a part of your soul and accept the soul restriction of the Oath Stone of our pavilion." Part of your soul? Soul restriction. Tao Lord Black Flames and Chun Mingzhu looked at each other with ugly expressions. Although their sect did not have the Oath Stone, they knew that the power of this restriction was very strong. Nascent soul cultivators would not be able to resist it. If they did so, it would be equivalent to handing their lives over to others. Their lives would not be in their control. Lu Kuan saw their hesitation and said coldly, "In addition to the previous matter, you have also seen Lu's trump card. This is Lu's trump card to deal with soul formation cultivators. You must not reveal it. Since you don't want to accept the soul restriction, I can only silence you." As he spoke, the muscles on his body began to tremble and showed signs of expanding. The pressure of the surrounding air became even more violent, causing the spiritual light of the 2 nascent soul cultivators' shields to dim. Tao Lord Black Flames closed his eyes and sighed. "I am willing to accept the Pavilion Master's restriction. Chen Mingzhu felt the threat of death and also agreed. He did not want to die so quickly. As long as he was alive, there was still a chance. When Lu Kuan heard this, a small black mountain appeared in his hand. A frenzied will surged on it. He said calmly, "Release your divine sense." Then, he injected a trace of their divine sense into the oath stone and cast a soul restriction through their divine sense. Feeling the restriction that contained the power of will in their divine sense, Tao Lord Black Flames and Tao Lord Black Flames looked at each other and smiled bitterly. They would probably not be able to get rid of such a restriction in their lifetime. Lu Kuan flipped his hand and put away the small black mountain. The surging physical force field also slowly entered his body. He smiled and said, "Don't worry. Although Lu has set up a restriction, what I want to do is not difficult." Tao Lord Black Flames said respectfully, "What orders does Master Lu have?" Lu Kuan said slowly, "It's very simple. The Scorching Sun sect just needs to carry out the previous plan and join forces with the Drifting Cloud sect to deal with the Tao Yi sect. Tao is already dead. With the Star Moon Pavilion's secret help, it's almost guaranteed." Tao Lord Black Flames hesitated. The Tao Yi sect has no great cultivators. Even if there's only the Scorching Sun sect and the Drifting Cloud Valley, I am confident that I can take them down. However, after destroying the Tao Yi sect Pavilion Master, you need to— Lu Kuan waved his hand and said, "I will not participate in the distribution of the Chu country's territory. However, every 20 years, you had to provide 40 rank 5 Yao cores. The Body Refining Pavilion will exchange for them with something of equivalent value. From now on, you two can develop in peace. Do not reveal your relationship with the Body Refining Pavilion. Lu will not look for you for at least 100 years." Black Flames and Chen Mingzhu looked at each other and cupped their fists. "We will follow Master Lu's orders." Lu Kuan looked into the distance with a cold glint in his eyes. "After we leave this time, tell Taoist Tao Yi that he died at the hands of the mutated demonic corpse. Take these two 10,000-mile talismans. You can contact me directly. As for the Supreme Xian sect cultivators who are guests at the Tao Yi sect, Lu will deal with them one by one. You don't have to care about them." Lu Kuan threw a jade talisman to the two of them and shot towards the edge of the Demon Island. The Wei country's spirit vein resources were not saturated yet. There was no need to attack the Chu country. One of the missions of the Body Refining Pavilion now was to take over the demonic Dragon Mountain's Devil Pool to ensure the number of high-level body cultivators. Tao Lord Black Flames and Chen Mingzhu could only be considered as secret pawns. He did not have the intention to control the cultivation sects in the Chu country. Now, the Saint Devil sect and Supreme Xian sect of the Great Zhou dynasty knew about the Body Refining Pavilion. He was not sure about the former, but the latter had a soul formation cultivator who had just broken through. If this soul formation cultivator came to the Wei country, wouldn't it be the Body Refining Pavilion's biggest crisis? The only way now is to strike first. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed coldly. Chapter 1090. More than 10 miles away from Zhongyan Prefecture's Tianqiu Mountain, there was an inconspicuous mountain valley. A medium-sized cave was dug out of the mountain. A burly man was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the cave. A silver vortex ball was floating in front of his chest. Inside the ball was a nascent soul less than a foot tall. Its face was twitching, and it looked like it was in extreme pain. After Lu Kuan left the Demon Island, he immediately rushed to the vicinity of the Tao Yi school. When Chen Mingzhu's news reached here, the other 3 nascent soul stage experts of the Supreme Profound sect would definitely come out to investigate Peng Yuanhua's news. When these people appeared, he would secretly tail them and kill them one by one without anyone noticing. After an unknown period of time, Lu Kuan slowly opened his eyes. Looking at the nascent soul whose consciousness was drifting away, he frowned. Although the Oath Stone of the Tao One sect is very ordinary, there are still some key memories that cannot be searched. He threw out a cloud of broken dragonstone powder and wrapped it up again. The memories that could be searched inside have been searched. Lu Kuan didn't want to waste this nascent soul. This kind of high-level cultivator's cultivation essence was a great supplement for a silver-armored corpse like Serene, not to mention a nascent soul at the peak level of a great cultivator. After putting away the nascent soul of the Tao E sect, Lu Kuan fell into deep thought. The core cultivation method of the Tao E sect and the information of the sect's restrictions were protected by the Oath Stone and couldn't be searched. However, he found some of the Tao E sect's understanding of the spirit severing stage. Senior spiritual stone monkey once told me that if a cultivator wants to enter the spirit severing stage, they must comprehend the power of will that matches their own characteristics and then merge it with the nascent soul in their body to transform the power of the nascent soul into the power of the primordial spirit. Relying on the power of the primordial spirit, cultivators can control the chi of heaven and earth and use this high-level energy to temper their primordial spirit and continue to increase their cultivation. He frowned. However, from the Tao E sect's memory, after the immortal cultivation world was contaminated by the devil chi, the laws of heaven and earth have changed. The chi of heaven and earth is no longer pure. Even if you comprehend the power of will, you can't get the pure chi of heaven and earth. This kind of ancient soul formation method no longer works. Only the pseudo-soul formation method can be used to forcibly fuse with the will of others. That demon turtle dug out the will of the demon king from his powerful bloodline and fused with it. However, the biggest flaw of this pseudo-soul formation technique is that it requires a sufficient amount of yuan chi of heaven and earth to assist in the breakthrough. Furthermore, after the breakthrough, only in this area can one unleash their full strength. If I leave, I'll still be able to control the chi of heaven and earth, but my control will be greatly reduced. Even so, for a nascent soul stage cultivator, a pseudo-soul formation stage cultivator is still an unbeatable existence. Lu Kuan raised his head and looked in the direction of Shiyuan's state. He understood many things. That level 10 peak demon turtle chose to break through in Shiyuan's state in order to avoid the territory of the Flood Dragon King in the Outer Sea. The Kuei Cow King and Reverend Tao E also had their own plans. Firstly, they used the Thousand Tides formation to erase the will imprint left by Senior Een in the Chu country and the Inner Sea. Secondly, they divided the Chu country. Shiyuan's state and the Inner Sea were one piece of pseudo-soul formation territory, and the rest were another. Unfortunately, Reverend Tao E failed when he fused with the will. He didn't even manage to activate the yuan chi of heaven and earth. In addition, Lu Kuan also thought of the various devil pools. The source of the devil yuan chi is the water of the true devil. Only by erasing the remaining energy essence of the devil clan can the yuan chi of heaven and earth be purified in the world of immortal cultivators. The Demon Spirit Island, the Horseshoe Mountain, and the Yunling Mountains are all the same. However, only the Horseshoe Mountain was successful in these places. The yuan chi of heaven and earth was still contaminated. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with a thoughtful look. The traditional methods of immortal cultivators are not necessarily suitable for body cultivators. The reason why soul formation stage cultivators are powerful is because they use a higher level of energy than spiritual chi, the yuan chi of heaven and earth. If the physical strength of a body cultivator is completely stabilized at the level of full nascent soul power, will he be able to control the yuan chi of heaven and earth? Thinking of this, Lu Kuan looked at his 5 viscera and 6 bowels. My current physical strength has already reached an extremely high level. But even so, with the support of the bloodline magic, I can at most withstand 99 million pounds of strength. When I forcibly raise it to full nascent soul power, my internal organs will be overdrawn. In other words, the key to raising my strength to full nascent soul power is my internal organs. Thinking of this, the devil corpse suddenly appeared in his mind. That devil king corpse only has a strength of 1 million pounds. It hasn't reached the level of full nascent soul power at all. but it can use the yuan qi to form a yuan qi shield around its internal organs and bones. Its internal organs look very full and have almost not been corroded by time. Is it related to its magic? Lu Kuan waved his hand, and the two devil corpses fell in front of him. One had a broken waist, and the other had a complete body. He removed part of the Dragonbreaker stone powder, and his divine sense came out of his body. When he was in the Devil's Den, he was pressed for time, so he didn't take a closer look. But now, he sent his divine sense deep into their bodies and soon found something strange. In the depths of the internal organs of these two devil corpses, he could sense traces of brutal intent. This brutal intent seems to be different from the true demon intent. It's a bit like a light flashed in Lu Kuan's hand and a small black mountain appeared. It was the child stone of the Mountain of Vows. There was a frenzied intent flowing in it. The true demon intent of the water of the true demon is like the lazy intent I sensed in the yuan qi of the Western Plain state. It's just stored in this pure energy. The brutal intent in the internal organs of the devil corpses is similar to the Mountain of Vows. It's as if the true demon intent has been refined together with the internal organs. But why is the intent of the devil race in the internal organs? Lu Kuan looked a little puzzled. According to the information in Hong Yuntian's handbook, the energy cultivated in the body of the devil race was also of the Jindan and Yuanying system, but the demonic energy contained in it had a great tempering effect on the physical body. The Black Fiend Demon King said that when the devil race cultivators break through to the Devil King realm, they have to soak in the water of the true demon. Now, the devil cultivators in the immortal cultivation world are the same. So, it should be the same as the immortal cultivators, which is to form the power of the primordial spirit. The power of will in the internal organs of the devil corpses penetrates through the demonic energy. The internal organs with brutal intent made the devil corpses use the yuan qi manifestation defensive ability. Lu Kuan thought of his own situation again. When I use the full yuan qi, the other parts of the body are not affected, but the internal organs can't support it. Is it because there is no power of will in the internal organs? Lu Kuan frowned even more. With the information he now knew, he couldn't tell whether the internal organs needed the power of will or a stronger material to bear the full yuan qi. There is no yuanying in the body of a body cultivator. Even if there is some power of will, I can't use the pseudo-divine transformation technique. As for the power of will, I have no clue. He took a deep breath and dismissed the messy thoughts in his mind. The divine transformation realm is still very far away. Regardless of the power of will, the internal organs need to continue to improve. The current tempering method is to use the power of life. The power of life can repair the internal injuries caused by the explosion of the full yuan qi. On the other hand, the internal organs improved by the power of life must be helpful to the physical body to bear the full yuan qi. And the improvement of the internal organs, the power of life they can hold will also increase. At least it can reduce the side effects of the full yuan qi. Lu Kuan shook his head, waved one hand, and put away the two devil corpses. When I reach the late stage of bone transformation, I will deduce the divine transformation realm. For now, I should consider the current realm. This time, through the use of the devil ape transformation and Dharma world, I have a direction for the middle stage of bone transformation. He recalled the previous battle, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. After entering the middle stage of bone transformation, the muscle is equivalent to a top material comparable to a mature magic treasure. The concentration of blood has also been greatly improved. Coupled with the improvement of the power of life, the magical energy can be stored in the muscle, and the capacity has greatly increased. The most important thing is that blood and muscle can be transformed into each other. Before, I thought about whether blood and bones can be transformed into each other. I also thought about the incredible supernatural power of rebirth from a drop of blood. If bones are transformed into blood, wouldn't the physical body become a pool of blood? It's hard to say whether the consciousness will still exist. But if it is a one-sided transformation, that is, blood is transformed into bones. Then, wouldn't the body be able to use Dharma World without the help of the Silver Dragon meteorite? At present, after blood is transformed into muscle fibers, it can store magical energy. In the future, when the concentration of blood is further increased, it can be transformed into bones, and the density will greatly increase. At that point, perhaps even liquid blood can completely store the tyrannical energy of magical energy. As for how to transform blood into bones, I can start with the devil-ape transformation. Bloodline power. Lu Kuan pondered over the early stage of bone transformation and quickly deduced the middle stage of bone transformation. There were two main directions. The first was to find a way to transform blood into bones. This could be found in the devil-ape transformation and Dharma World. If he could find a way, then wouldn't he be able to transform blood into bones and temper them, increasing their concentration? The second direction was to continue cultivating the power of life. As the concentration of blood increased, the power of life increased, and his cultivation speed gradually increased. More importantly, cultivating the energy bestowed by the heavenly tribulation lightning could also strengthen his internal organs. Then, in this inconspicuous little valley, he deduced the method to transform blood into bones while monitoring the movements of the Tao One sect. Chapter 1091. The ancestor of body cultivators has been adjusted today. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 1092. In the state of Chi's Western Province, there was a ring-shaped mountain range that was shrouded in fog all year round. There were many rugged and precipitous mountain peaks that were connected to each other. They lay prone on the ground like a dragon that was hundreds of miles long. The demonic cultivators of the Western Province called it the Demonic Dragon Mountain. The original Demonic Dragon Mountain was shrouded in a layer of gray, poisonous miasma. The demonic chi and spiritual chi were very thin. The powerful sects didn't care about the inferior cultivation environment here, and the small rogue cultivators didn't have the ability to set up a large formation to isolate the poisonous miasma. Therefore, there were very few cultivators here. Until a few years ago, many parts of the Demonic Dragon Mountain began to collapse. Hundreds of demonic chi pillars erupted from the cracks in the mountain rocks. The terrifying waves even caused the demonic chi in a small part of the Western Province to tremble. Such a shocking phenomenon attracted many demonic cultivators to investigate. They discovered that as the demonic chi waves surged, the poisonous miasma that shrouded the mountain range all year round retreated towards the dragon head of the Demonic Dragon Mountain for some unknown reason. On the Dragon Head Mountain, an ancient restriction that covered dozens of miles appeared out of thin air. Although the formation looked a little damaged, it wasn't something that ordinary nascent soul cultivators could break. Combined with the skyrocketing demonic chi in the Demonic Dragon Mountain range, some knowledgeable high-level cultivators guessed that there should be a demonic pool sealed under the Dragon Head Mountain of the Demonic Dragon Mountain. The changes here were caused by the demonic pool's seal failing. All of a sudden, the various sects and clans of the Western Province were in an uproar. The demonic pool was a place of cultivation that demonic cultivators dreamed of. It was said that the three demonic sects of the state of Chi had seized the demonic pool back then. After many years of development, they became the behemoths that they were today. If they occupied the Demonic Dragon Mountain, they would have the foundation to become a large sect. Therefore, various forces of various sizes began to fight over the Demonic Dragon Mountain. Just within a few thousand miles of the Demonic Dragon Mountain, there were countless battles. At this time, the demonic cultivators of the Western Province discovered that the Sacred Poison sect, which was in a semi-secluded state, actually had more than one nascent soul sword cultivator overseeing it. The disciples of the sect also had astonishing combat strength. After several years of stalemate, the Dragon Head Mountain was completely occupied by three forces. One of them was the Holy Poison sect The second one was the four great sects led by the Devil Flame sect, and the last one was the Zhua, Wu, and Wen clans of the West region. The 5 sects and 3 clans, who had originally resisted the pressure of the 3 great demon sects, had completely fallen out because of this devil pool that had appeared. 100 miles away from the Dragonhead Mountain, there was a mountain with a flat top. At the foot of the mountain, there were 3 different groups of cultivators. Each group had a dozen or so core formation cultivators, each representing one of the 3 major powers. At this moment, on the flat top of the mountain, there were 6 immortal cultivators sitting cross-legged in the direction of each of the major powers. Aside from one nascent soul stage cultivator, there was only one core formation stage cultivator following them. They were discussing something and didn't seem to have any intention of fighting. The nascent soul stage cultivator of the Sacred Poison sect was a dark-skinned, middle-aged man. His hair was dark red, and his body was skinny, as if he was too weak to even stand up to a gust of wind. Around his waist hung a dozen bottles and jars that were faintly flashing with colorful lights. This person's devil chi fluctuated between strong and weak. It was somewhat unstable, as if he had just entered the nascent soul stage. He was the servant Lu Kuan had taken in many years ago. Duan's aptitude was very ordinary, but he had an astonishing talent in refining poisons. The Sacred Poison technique was a poison refining technique. However, it didn't refine pills but devil chi. A month ago, Duan had finally fused the 100th type of poison into his devil chi, successfully cultivating the power of 100 poisons and breaking through to the early nascent soul stage. Although the Sacred Poison sect's original 4 core formation poison cultivators had profound cultivation, they were affected by their talent in refining poisons. Only 2 of them had barely entered the late core formation stage, while the other 2 had exhausted their lifespans and died. The representative of the 3 major clans was an early nascent soul stage devil cultivator of the Zhua clan. This bald, old man's saliva splattered everywhere as he said, "According to this Zhua's words, we'll decide the victor after we break the restriction of the Devil Dragon Mountain. We all know that the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance is a force of the Blood Refining sect. Although they have withdrawn from the competition, if they take action when both of us are injured, wouldn't we be giving the Devil's Pool to the foreign forces?" The representative of the 4 major demon sects was a hunchbacked old man with a walking stick. He was a nascent soul stage elder of the Rakshasa sect. He glanced in the direction of the Sacred Poison sect and said sarcastically, "I'm afraid the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance isn't the only foreign forces. These fellows who tinker with poisons have long been the lackeys of the Wayne Nation Body Refining Pavilion." Duan fiddled with a red jade bottle and shook his head. "Old Monster Fu, you're wrong about that. The Sacred Poison sect is actually called the Poison Refining Pavilion and is a part of the Body Refining Pavilion. How can you say that they're lackeys?" The hunchbacked old man's face darkened when he heard that. "Be it the Sacred Poison sect or the Poison Refining Pavilion, I advise you to withdraw from the competition of the Devil Dragon Mountain. Otherwise, the 4 sects and 3 clans will join forces to deal with you. The land of the Devil's Pool cannot fall into the hands of the foreign forces. Otherwise, there will be no place for us sects and clans in the entire Qi Nation." The bald old man from the Zhua family also looked at Duan and said slowly, "I was still under the illusion that the Sacred Poison sect was forced by the Body Refining Pavilion. I didn't expect fellow Taoist Du to admit it directly. Don't blame us then." As soon as he finished speaking, a powerful restrictive force suddenly rose up around the mountaintop. It turned into a dark gray light curtain that enveloped the area. Duan sensed it slightly and realized that the spiritual light above was thick. It was actually at the level of a restrictive array. His face was a little pale as he gritted his teeth and said, "So you've already planned this. Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to stop the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance after exhausting too much of your strength? Moreover, the size of the Devil Dragon Mountain can't accommodate the 2 of you at all. There will be a winner between the 2 of you." The hunchbacked old man shook his walking stick and chuckled. "Didn't old man Zhuo already tell you just now? After breaking the restrictive array of the Devil Dragon Mountain, we will naturally decide the winner. The nascent soul old man from the Joie family sighed and said, I thought that the nascent soul sword cultivator from the body refining pavilion would come. I didn't expect it to be you who just broke through. It's a bit of a waste to use the black spirit array. It's indeed a waste of devil stones. Even without it, the two of you wouldn't be able to escape. Suddenly, the body of the sacred poison sect disciple, standing behind, Duan abruptly swelled up. In the blink of an eye, he turned into an extremely tall and sturdy muscular man. His core formation demonic aura also disappeared and was replaced by a strange aura. When the nascent soul cultivators from the Demon Flame sect and the Joie family saw this, their mocking smiles instantly disappeared and became extremely serious. They and the core formation stage cultivator behind them formed a jade talisman at almost the same time. Ripples of space spread out, and they disappeared from the mountain peak without a trace. The hunchbacked old man's extremely cautious voice came from outside. As expected, there are nascent soul stage body cultivators following us. Everyone, be careful. This time, we must kill them and let the body refining pavilion know that the devil cultivators of the West Continent are not to be trifled with. Following his words, another 4 silhouettes appeared outside the gray spell formation. A total of 6 nascent soul cultivators surrounded the flat peak of the mountain so tightly that not even a drop of water could pass through. Chapter 1093. At the foot of the Zenith Mountain, there were 12 core formation cultivators dressed in sacred poison sect robes. Only 2 of them were late core formation poison cultivators. The other 10 were cultivators of the body, refining pavilion. 2 were core formation disciples of the spirit transforming pavilion, 4 were sword cultivators of the sky sword pavilion, and the remaining 4 were the bone treasure cultivators of the body, refining pavilion. They were Li Qianfeng, Zhao Qiming, Duan Yiyun, and Li Kuei. Although Li Qianfeng had switched to a demonic body refining technique, the principle of breaking through to the bone treasure stage was the same as the 5 elements body refining art. As for the risk of Qi blood demonic power, it was completely avoided by removing the demonic arm. Moreover, because of the demonic arm, his demonic body was a complete body. The right arm bone was removed for the core condensation stage, greatly reducing the difficulty of breaking through. With the help of the dense demonic Qi in the Devil Abyss, he successfully broke through. Zhao Qiming followed in Zhao Qingtian's footsteps and broke through using the poisonous wood body refining art. Duan Yiyun's aptitude was astonishing. She completed the carving of the sword intent imprint on her sternum early on in the blood condensation stage, so her breakthrough was extremely smooth. Li Kuei, a disciple without a spirit root, seemed to have stimulated his unique physique after obtaining the sternum spirit root to refine his body. His flesh body successfully integrated with a trace of the 3 yang real fire of the lava cave, and entered the bone treasure stage with a method of condensing the Dan with a strange fire. At the same time, 14 body cultivators broke through to the peak of body tempering realm. The remaining 10 all failed to break through. Senior Marshal Brother, from what you said, the 4 sects and 3 clans seem to know the terror of body cultivators. This peace talk is to ambush the bone transformation cultivators. A thin middle-aged man, Dugu Yiming of the Sky Sword Pavilion, spoke with his divine sense. After he created the blood Qi demonic sword embryo, he solved the hidden dangers of sword cultivators' meridians. With the aptitude of a heavenly spirit root, he easily entered the core formation stage. Li Qianfeng nodded lightly. Not only that, but they also want to eliminate the entire poison refining pavilion in one go. Unfortunately, these people never expected that the Yin-sifting faction was already an ally of the body refining pavilion and had long since revealed their plans to Elder Du, with Senior Uncle Pan personally protecting him. As long as no great cultivators appear, Elder Du will be fine. Besides, there's also, at this moment, a gray light suddenly appeared on the mountain peak in everyone's sight. Terrifying auras of the nascent soul stage surged in all directions. As for the other two groups of core formation cultivators representing the 4 sects and 3 clans, they simultaneously surrounded Li Qianfeng's group. Li Qianfeng rubbed his right arm and revealed a cruel expression. Everyone, follow the plan and annihilate these enemies. Near the far west of the western region, above a swamp filled with black poisonous miasma, there were 2 black battleships that were 120 feet long. Their surfaces were flashing with spiritual light, as if they were hiding in the clouds through some kind of stealth secret technique. At the front of one of the battleships stood 4 nascent soul cultivators from the 3 great clans. At this moment, the team that was dealing with the sacred poison sect was led by a handsome middle-aged man. He wore a blue brocade robe and had an extraordinary bearing. He was the Zhua family's clan leader, who was at the mid-stage nascent soul realm. He looked at the sacred poison sect in the distance and slowly said, "Everyone, I'm afraid this battle with the sacred poison sect won't be as simple as it seems. For so many years, the body refining pavilion's nascent soul realm body cultivators have never appeared. However, based on the abilities of their low-level disciples, their abilities should be similar to those of the demon clan. We must not let them get close to us. I'll remind you again. The 4 of us must travel together and not split up. With the defensive coordination we practiced before, we should be able to protect ourselves for a while against a Class 10 demon beast." The others all had solemn expressions. "Thank you for your reminder, brother. We will be careful and not be careless. We will treat them like Class 9 demon beasts." The Zhua family leader slowly said, "Apart from destroying the sacred poison sect and destroying their teleportation array, our most important task is to preserve our strength and be careful of the 4 sects. Once this battle is over, the 7 Fiends sect will send nascent soul cultivators to help us. At that time, we will have a 90% chance of taking down the demonic Dragon Mountain. Brother Zhua is right. Let's be careful and let the sacred poison sect take advantage of us." That's right. At the front of the other battleship, there were also 4 cultivators with vigorous auras. A young woman with an exquisite figure wearing a dark red robe said with a worried tone, "Will there be any problems at the Flat Top Mountain? If there are 2 nascent soul realm body cultivators, I'm afraid it will be dangerous." A rugged middle-aged man next to her said in a deep voice, "Fairy Long, you think too highly of body cultivators. There are a total of 6 nascent soul cultivators on the Plateau Top Mountain, and one of them is the Great Elder sect. Coupled with the Black Spirit formation, even 3 level 9 demonic beasts are no match for them." Lung Fian sighed softly and did not say anything. She subconsciously recalled a battle many years ago. Before she broke through to the nascent soul realm, she met a rogue cultivator called Zhang Tianbiao in the Yuan secret realm. From that person's fighting style and abilities, it seemed that he was definitely a disciple of the body refining pavilion. A core formation realm body cultivator almost suppressed 3 core formation realm cultivators and even killed 2 of them in a short time. If it weren't for the group of fiend molten crocodiles, Lung Fian might not have been able to escape. If a core formation realm body cultivator was so terrifying, then what about a nascent soul realm body cultivator? Unfortunately, no matter how Lung Fian reminded them, they thought she was exaggerating. Fortunately, her senior martial brother, the Grand Elder of the Demon Flame sect, believed her words and formulated this plan. "Fellow Taoist man, it's not wrong to be cautious. Our mission is to destroy the sacred poison sect's teleportation formation with lightning speed. Only then can we cut off the body refining pavilion's reinforcements." The speaker was a pale-skinned, middle-aged man. His aura was deep, and he had already reached the mid-nascent soul realm. He was the Grand Elder of the Yin Sifting sect, one of the 4 sects, Song Yuan. The rough-looking man nodded. "Although I don't believe that body cultivators are as terrifying as Fairy Lung says, I've made preparations. This time, I brought along the demonic beast of the 100 Barbarian Mountain. Even if we encounter a nascent soul realm body cultivator, this grade 8 demonic beast will be able to hold him back." He hesitated for a moment before continuing. "However, our 4 sects and 3 clans have all moved out. If the Rogue Cultivator Alliance makes a move, Song Yuan shook his head. Don't worry. Fellow Taoist Fu of the Demon Flame sect has confirmed with the Rogue Cultivator Alliance that they have received instructions from the Blood Refining sect. They won't participate in the battle for demonic Dragon Mountain. Is that true? The Blood Refining sect will give up? Song Yuan slowly said. Old Devil Pang's death and the great battle 100 years ago have greatly weakened the Blood Refining sect's strength. Even the supreme Devil Palace of the Chu country has been taken back to recuperate. Moreover, I've also found out that the Blood Refining sect and the Body Refining Pavilion have a non-aggression agreement. The two sects won't clash for at least 200 years. The Rogue Cultivator Alliance won't make a move either. Lung Fian's face paled. A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Even if the Blood Refining sect's strength has weakened, there's still not something that the scattered sects like us can compare to. They're all afraid of the Body Refining Pavilion. Song Yuan sneered. I'm afraid you've forgotten that the Body Refining Pavilion has only been around for a short period of time. They must have suffered great losses in the war to unify the Wei country. I'm afraid they have the same idea as the Blood Refining sect to recuperate. The nascent Soul Realm Sword Cultivator from the Holy Poison sect actually came from the Heavenly Sword sect. There hasn't been a true nascent Soul Realm Body Cultivator in the Western region. I'm afraid that such an existence is very rare even for the Body Refining Pavilion. Otherwise, according to Fairy Lung's assessment, only 5 or 6 body cultivators would be enough to take us down. Hearing this, Lung Fian felt that something was wrong, but she couldn't say anything. Song Yuan's expression was solemn as he said in a deep voice, In the upcoming battle, I'm afraid you'll have to pay more attention to the 3 great clans. The Rogue Cultivator Alliance won't interfere. Once we're done with the Holy Poison sect, they'll be our opponents. You're right, fellow Taoist Song. The 3 great clans like to play tricks. It's best to be careful. At this moment, a jade talisman suddenly appeared in Song Yuan's hand. The talisman flickered with spiritual light. He was pleasantly surprised. We've successfully trapped Du in an nascent soul realm body cultivator on the plateau. Let's set off immediately. The 3 great clans seem to have received the news as well. The arrays inside the 2 battleships began to operate. While concealing themselves, they shot towards the Holy Poison sect. Chapter 1094. The Black Spirit Array on top of the plateau was modified from an ancient array by the Zhua family. It was said that this array was designed to hunt demonic beasts. It had an extremely strong defense against internal attacks and could trap its prey. Those who had the array talisman could not only attack without damaging the array, but also teleport inside and outside. The surrounding nascent soul stage cultivators were constantly making hand seals. 6 different colored magic treasures drew an arc in the air and shuttled back and forth in the Black Spirit Array. Dull and sharp sounds of collisions could be heard from time to time. Pan Yan's extremely tall and sturdy body was moving rapidly on the ground and in the air. The magical weapons that were shooting at him were either knocked away by his fists, knees, and other precious joints, or they were blocked by his broad and thick back. He was like an incomparably nimble human-shaped shield, continuously blocking the attacks of the 6 magical treasures one after another. The leader of the 4 sects and 3 clans was the Grand Elder of the Demon Flame sect, Feng Xiang. He was the one with the highest cultivation level among the cultivators present. Seeing this scene, his face was extremely ugly. This is a nascent soul stage physique cultivator, using his bare hands to block the attacks of 6 nascent soul stage cultivators' magic treasures. This kind of defensive power was probably not comparable to a 9th level demonic beast. If it wasn't for this guy protecting Du and their magic treasures would not have been able to hit him. Feng Xiang said in a deep voice, "Don't save your demonic energy. Use your strongest abilities. Even a 10th level demonic beast defense has a limit. I don't believe this guy can withstand so many attacks and not be injured at all." As he spoke, the power of his nascent soul surged and a ball of dark purple flame appeared in his hand. It turned into a long flame snake and rushed towards Pan Yin. Everyone else seemed to have awakened from a dream and started to use their own techniques. Colorful spells and magic treasures mixed together to form a dense wave of attacks. Like a meteor shower, its power was monstrous as it fiercely bombarded the plateau. Pan Yan's eyes narrowed. The combined power of the 6 nascent soul stage cultivators made him feel a great pressure. His burly body suddenly curled up sideways, his knees bent, his head buried between his legs, and his hands hugging his calves. Like a huge wheel of flesh and blood, he floated horizontally above Duin and began to spin rapidly. The surrounding air was distorted. With the wheel of flesh as the core, 2 twisting force field vortexes, one big and one small, appeared. The surrounding sand and stones were stirred up, forming a hurricane on the narrow platform. The big vortex force field had the wheel of flesh as the core and circled 2 feet around him. The small vortex was in the center of the curled-up body. A large number of meteor-like attacks approached the 2 vortexes. He felt a strong suction force. The colorful spells and magic powers seemed to be unable to resist the suction force. They deviated from the physical body and were sucked into the big vortex. The amazing twisting force inside weakened the spells by more than half. The remaining spells then fell on the yellow light film. In addition to the strong defensive power of the light film also had a pulling force, which released a lot of the remaining power of the spells. Only a small part of the remaining power blasted on Pan Yan's flesh. The impact of the 6 magic treasures was much stronger than the spells and magic powers. Although they were also pulled by the big vortex, they were not deviated by much and directly blasted toward the curled-up body. But when they were half a foot away from the flesh, the small vortex in the middle suddenly erupted with an even more amazing suction force. The direction of the magic treasures was forcibly changed. They brushed past the edge of the flesh and were sucked into the small vortex in the middle. At this moment, Duin, who was below Pan Yin, chuckled. He spread his hands in front of him. 2 blood-red clouds of thick poisonous gas appeared in his hands and were thrown up. The strange poisonous gas was instantly sucked into the vortex force field. The 6 magic treasures and the poisonous gas were mixed together in Pan Yan's wheel of flesh, making sizzling sounds. Oh no, my magic treasures are corroded. Mine too. Those are the 3 holy poisons of the holy poison sect. The 6 nascent soul cultivators outside gritted their teeth and tried their best to control their magic treasures. At this moment, Pan Yin instantly removed the 2 force fields. The magic treasures shot out in all directions at an even faster speed. Fortunately, the magic treasures had the imprint of the formation, so they did not destroy the Black Spirit formation. However, only 5 magic treasures flew out. Oh no, my magic treasures! Feng Xiang's face suddenly changed, and he looked forward. He saw that Pan Yin's body had returned to its original state and was quietly standing on the ground. Many of the muscles on the surface of his body had ruptured, revealing the dark yellow bones inside. Pan Yin didn't care about the wounds on his body. He stared at his hands. At some point in time, a pair of gray bone claws had appeared on his thick palms, and a black square seal magic treasure was held in them. Streams of blood-red mist, driven by an invisible force, gathered from all parts of his body into the magic treasure. The strong poison directly corroded the spirit light outside of the magic treasure. Damn it! What are you guys standing there for? Continue attacking. Feng Xiang's demonic power surged, and his hands formed a mysterious seal, as if he wanted to activate something. Pan Yin smiled coldly. The overbearing demonic power in his body crazily surged into the unguarded black square seal. A series of slight explosions sounded like painful wails. The magic treasure's spirit light dimmed. Feng Xiang's magic treasure was heavily damaged. Under the connection between their minds, the demonic power in his body surged. Right at this moment, behind Feng Xiang, a strong young man appeared out of thin air. His body exuded the same strange aura as Pan Yin. It was Huang Xiaoyun, who had been lying in ambush. At this time, the surface of his arms was surrounded by a layer of golden flowing light. The front palms were simply clenched into fists. A sharp force emerged from all parts of his body and followed the flowing light to gather in front of his arms, forming a golden cone-shaped sword chi that was more than a foot long in front of his fists. Huang Xiaoyun's arms were like two thick, long swords, piercing forward with a sharp force that could tear everything apart. Feng Xiang, the great elder of the Demon Flame sect, whose magic treasure had just been heavily damaged, the demonic power in his body was in chaos. He did not expect such a terrifying existence to be lurking around him. Although the demonic fire in his body was protecting him and adding to his mana shield, under the attack of these two top-notch sword treasures, this layer of defense was like a piece of paper and was directly torn apart. A 6-inch nascent soul stage, 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 nascent soul, an invisible force sucked the storage bracelet over. Huang Xiaoyun didn't stop. He raised his arms, and his entire body transformed into a giant sword as he charged towards the nearby, killing Luo Sec's Elder Fu. Old Man Fu didn't react until Feng Xiang was killed. Feeling the terrifying sharpness, he was terrified. He quickly threw out a gray shield and a jade talisman. The jade talisman turned into a ghostly hand and grabbed a Huang Xiaoyun. Zila, like a torn rag, a hole appeared in the ghostly hand. The gray energy seemed to have some kind of stickiness as it adhered to the charging flesh. Huang Xiaoyun ignored the corrosive energy and instead became faster and faster. Old Man Fu's demonic power rushed towards the shield in front of him. But when Huang Xiaoyun closed in, his sword-like arms didn't strike the shield. Instead, the dazzling cone-shaped sword chi slashed at the edge of the shield, and his arms actually wrapped around this defensive treasure. At the same time, his body twisted and his right leg kicked out as fast as lightning from the side. A bright conical sword chi emerged from the tip of his foot. The gray shield seemed to have sensed the danger of its master and trembled. It wanted to help its master block the attack from the side, but it was tightly held by a pair of powerful arms and couldn't move. Old Man Fu's early nascent soul stage shield was instantly shattered. Huang Xiaoyun's mouth instantly opened and an ear-piercing scream surged out. Layers of sound waves were mixed with a large cloud of blood-red, poisonous mist. The sudden sonic boom caused Old Man Fu's reaction to be a bit slower. His body was smashed to pieces by the force of the whip kick. The nascent soul inside was directly enveloped by the blood-red, poisonous mist and turned into a pool of blood with a painful scream. Chapter 1095. The remaining 4 nascent soul stage cultivators were all stunned. From the moment Huang Xiaoyun appeared to the moment 2 of them died, only 10 breaths of time had passed. The explosive power displayed by the other party made them feel suffocated. How did this person hide? Our spiritual sense didn't even sense the slightest difference. His limbs are like top-grade sword treasures. Is he really a nascent soul stage body cultivator? The guy below has an abnormal defensive power. This new body cultivator's attack power is even more terrifying than a mid-stage nascent soul stage sword cultivator. Hurry up and gather together. This guy's speed is amazing. Only by joining forces can we defend against him. We'll be in danger when the other 2 get out. The 4 people reacted quickly and quickly gathered together. They couldn't care less about Pan Yin and Duan. One after another, they raised their shields, magic banners, and other defensive treasures and tightly wrapped their bodies. Immediately afterward, the 4 streaks of light joined together and flew into the distance without hesitation. Through the previous battle, they had already discovered that Pan Yin was difficult to deal with. His physical defense was simply abnormal, and this new body cultivator not only had an unknown concealment ability, but his attack power was even more terrifying than a sword cultivator's. The Black Spirit Grand Array was inferior to the Forbidden Grand Array and couldn't withstand the continuous attacks of a mid-stage nascent soul stage cultivator. If the three of them joined forces, they would be no match for them at all. If they didn't escape now, when would they? Huang Xiaoyan put away Old Man Fu's storage bracelet and shook his body. An invisible force field surged out and dispersed the corrosive energy on his body. He looked at the fleeing enemies and sneered. Golden threads with terrifying sharpness surged out from his body and formed two rivers on the surface of his body before converging towards his arms. These sharp forces didn't converge in a cone-shaped sword chi in front of his fists, but rushed towards the center of his fists. Buzz, hundreds of sword cries rang out from Huang Xiaoyan's body as a blinding light soared to the sky. Huang Xiaoyan's body was akin to hundreds of sword lights fused together as he shot towards the direction of the four fleeing cultivators. His speed was even faster than that of the four nascent soul cultivators. Both parties quickly disappeared from the vicinity of the plateau. On the mountain peak, Pan Yin and Du didn't seem to be worried at all. They slightly adjusted their breathing and began to attack the Dark Spirit Grand Array. A series of muffled explosions spread out in all directions. At the foot of the plateau, dozens of core formation cultivators were also engaged in a chaotic battle. The disciples of the four sects and three clans hovered in the air, forming a circle. Looking down from above, they controlled their magical treasures to attack the 12 people of the body refining pavilion from a distance. The late core formation stage poison cultivator from the poison refining pavilion and two disciples from the spirit transforming pavilion were at the outermost perimeter of the team. Together with the two level 6 sea bears, they were able to block the enemy's magical equipment as much as possible. In the middle of the team, Li Qianfeng, Zhao Qiming, and Li Kuei each had a pair of shields on their arms and a pair of gray metal gloves on their palms. They were all entangled by 7 or 8 magical equipment. The disciples of the 4 sects and 3 clans seemed to be very familiar with the abilities of body cultivators. Not only did they add a soundproof barrier to their demonic power barrier to maintain their distance, they also specially sent out 8 core formation stage demonic cultivators who were proficient in control abilities to deal with the sturdy Li Qianfeng and the other 2 to prevent them from closing the distance. As a body cultivator at the early stage of the Bone Treasure Realm, because their bones had yet to be refined into magical equipment, they didn't have an absolute advantage in moving in the air. Only when they stood on the ground could they display astonishing speed. The 3 of them had enough defense, but not enough offense. In the middle of the body refining pavilion's team stood 4 disciples of the Sky Sword Pavilion and Duanian. This girl wore a loose robe and had a petite and cute appearance. She didn't look like a body cultivator at all, so she wasn't targeted as one. Like the other disciples of the Sky Sword Pavilion, Duan Iyun controlled a short sword in an attempt to break out of the encirclement of the magical equipment. However, the 4 sects and 3 clans who had suffered losses from sword cultivators were already prepared. In the middle of their team, there were 3 late-stage core formation stage powerhouses who relied on their profound demonic power to suppress the 5 sword treasures. After the battle went on for a while, the people of the 4 sects and 3 clans gradually relaxed. Although the enemy's abilities weren't small, they had the advantage of numbers. Moreover, they were already prepared, so they firmly suppressed the enemy. As long as they surrounded the enemy and waited for the nascent soul stage elders to deal with them, these people would be doomed. However, no one noticed that although Dugi Yiming, who was standing back to back with Duan Yun, was controlling the sword treasures, he was constantly sending out invisible sword lights into the body of the body cultivator. After a while, a terrifying sharp force suddenly emerged from the top of the flat peak in the distance. The unique pressure of a nascent soul stage cultivator crazily surged in all directions. The disciples of the 4 sects and 3 clans were stunned. Weren't the enemy trapped in the restriction? How could there be a nascent soul stage sword cultivator? At this moment, an incomparably pure sword intent suddenly burst out from Dugi Yiming's body. That incomparably sharp aura seemed to be in direct opposition to the sharp force in the sky. Incomparably thick, pitch-black sword chi continuously gushed out from his dantian and rushed towards Duan Iyun's chest. This female body cultivator closed her eyes tightly, and her body slightly trembled. The magic robe on her body loudly exploded, revealing an exquisite set of armor that clung tightly to her body. Dense chi and blood energy soared into the sky, and a layer of black sword light filled with pure sword intent appeared on the surface of her body. As for the other 3 sword cultivators, they had unknowingly surrounded her with their natal sword treasures floating above their heads. As they formed hand seals, a continuous stream of golden sword chi was sent into Duan Iyun's limbs. What are they doing? Killing each other? Something's wrong. Quickly stop them. At this moment, the 3 outermost core formation stage cultivators suddenly stopped attacking and flew away as if they had received an order to retreat. What's wrong with those guys from the Yin sifting faction? Why are they running away? Seeing this strange scene, the cultivators of the 4 sects and 3 clans hesitated, but still controlled their magic treasures to attack the area of the Sky Sword Pavilion disciples. Li Qianfeng and the others seemed to have been prepared. The shields in their hands were fiercely thrown out. At the same time, they flew up and blocked the magic treasures with their physical strength. The disciples of the Spirit Transforming Pavilion and the Poison Refining Pavilion also surged their magic power and protected the people of the Sky Sword Pavilion with all their strength. As the golden sword chi and the black sword chi poured in, Duan Iyun's body simultaneously emitted the aura of sword intent, devil power, and magic power. The 2 types of sword chi, one black and one gold, intertwined on the surface of her body and gradually turned into a dark gold color. The 3 golden long swords, along with the sword chi, turned into 3 streams of light and stuck to her back. A mini-sword embryo shot out from Dugu Yiming's body and embedded in Duan Iyun's chest. Dugu Yiming looked at Duan Iyun, whose aura was becoming more and more terrifying. His eyes were incomparably fanatical, and the sword seal in his hand suddenly changed. Bang! A crater suddenly appeared on the ground. Duan Iyun was like a dark gold sword, carrying an unparalleled power. She soared into the sky and shot towards the center of the 4 sects and 3 clans. The 3 swords on his back and the sword embryo in front of his chest continued to emit sword chi as he flew. The magic treasures of the core formation cultivators were all sent flying away after being lightly grazed by the swords. Duan Iyun's instantaneous burst of speed was almost comparable to the magic treasures of nascent soul cultivators. In the center of the demonic cultivators, besides the 3 late core formation cultivators, there were several middle core formation cultivators. The defensive magic treasures they summoned with difficulty were simply unable to stop this human-shaped sword. They were sent flying by an explosive force. The sword chi on the surface of Duan Iyun's body had unknowingly expanded and turned into a dark gold ball. Boom! An incomparably terrifying destructive force suddenly exploded. The 6 or 7 core formation demonic cultivators inside didn't even have time to scream before they were turned into nothingness by this destructive force. An astonishing wave of chi rolled up. Some of the demonic cultivators nearby even felt the demonic power in their bodies tremble. This pressure seemed to have reached the level of a nascent soul cultivator. At the same time, in the center of this destructive force's explosion, dozens of dazzling dark gold sword chi instantly flew out and shot towards the remaining demonic cultivators. In addition to containing the terrifying destructive force, it also carried a sword intent that seemed to tear everything apart. The remaining 10 or so demonic cultivators, facing these dazzling sword chi, felt a sense of being unmatched. Among them, the protective spiritual light of 3 of them broke, and they were instantly killed. The remaining people summoned their defensive magic treasures in time and saved their lives, but they also suffered heavy injuries. The demonic power in Dugu Yiming's body was almost exhausted. His face was deathly pale, and his thin and weak body was paralyzed on the ground. The sword seal in his hand was released. Looking at the scene of the core formation cultivators being heavily injured, he revealed an expression of incomparable excitement. This terrifying divine ability was the combination of the three great sword arts of the Sky Sword Pavilion. It was a unique combination of sword arts that he created. Silence. Chapter 1096. Looking at the heavily injured core formation stage, demonic cultivators, Li Qianfeng and the others all flew up into the sky. They switched from defense to offense and surrounded the demonic cultivators. Soon, screams of agony could be heard all around them. Duan Yun fell to the ground with a plop. She staggered and barely managed to stabilize herself. Her face was pale and her armor was shattered, revealing her snow-white skin that was covered in wounds. A dark red pill appeared in her hand. After swallowing it, blood energy slowly flowed out and the wounds on her body began to heal. The three long swords on her back spun and landed in front of three sword cultivators. The three of them sat on the ground, their early core formation spiritual power almost depleted. Looking at the scene in the sky, their eyes flashed with excitement. This sword technique displayed its destructive power to the extreme. In terms of power, it probably reached the nascent soul realm. One must know that they were only early core formation realm. This nirvana technique could actually erupt with the power of the next realm. Thinking of this, the three old disciples who cultivated the heaven sword art all looked at Dugi Yiming with incomparable admiration. Dugi Yiming sat on the ground, and a dark red sword embryo flew in front of him. Layers of flesh and blood wriggled on it, and a rich blood energy spread out. Although the demonic cultivators were instantly annihilated, the blood energy demon sword embryo still swallowed a lot of flesh and blood essence. The blood energy demon sword embryo turned into a black light and sank into Dugu Yiming's chest. He took a pill and recovered the demonic power in his body while recalling the nirvana technique he just used. The reason he was able to create this technique was inseparable from the current sword cultivation techniques. Today's Heaven Sword Pavilion disciples mainly cultivated three types of cultivation techniques. The traditional Heaven Sword art, the sword body art that tempered the body, and the demon sword art that he created. The Heaven Sword art was perfect and reached the peak of nascent soul realm. However, it was restricted by meridians. It required a bone transformation realm body cultivator to strengthen the meridians. And this technique could only be used once with the physique of a traditional sword cultivator. Huang Xiaoyan had entered the bone transformation stage. In addition to the Pavilion Master's current realm, the sword body formula could be cultivated to the middle stage of bone transformation. Although this body formula was extremely good at fighting, the risks were great. If one wasn't careful, they could die beneath the heavenly thunder tribulation. As for the demonic sword art created by Dugu Yiming, it resolved the weakness of the meridians, allowing the cultivator to continuously strengthen the meridians through the chi and blood demonic sword embryo. The only difference was that he cultivated sword intent and demonic power. Traditional sword Dao divine abilities needed to be converted into demonic power to be activated. After entering the core formation stage, Dugi Yiming began to study how to use demonic power to activate the sword formation of the sword pavilion. However, he was not satisfied with the power of the sword formation at the core formation stage, and he was unable to use the sword formation at the nascent soul stage. Therefore, he wanted to create a brand new sword formation. He, who was familiar with the body refinement technique, knew that when devil force and magic power interweaved, it could erupt with a type of destructive energy. If it was combined with the incomparably sharp sword chi, the power it could unleash would definitely be incomparably terrifying. Could he use this point to find a unique demonic sword formation? With the cooperation of two core formation stage sword cultivators. Although Dugi Yiming activated the destructive sword chi through the sword formation, He found that this sword formation was difficult to achieve. Whether it was his chi and blood demonic sword embryo or the sword treasure of other sword cultivators, when activating the destructive sword chi, the spirituality would be damaged. Sword cultivators were different from other immortal cultivators. They would only refine one sword treasure in their lifetime. This kind of sword formation that damaged their own sword treasure was meaningless. When Dugu Yiming encountered this problem, he suddenly thought of Duan Iyun, this body cultivator who broke through with the sword body refinement technique. After entering the bone treasure stage, the demonic blood power she cultivated also contained sword intent. Not only were her bones engraved with a sharp formation, but she also stored sword intent and magic power. Wasn't such a body cultivator a human-shaped sword treasure that was a mixture of demonic power and magic power? It could be used as a sword treasure to carry the destructive sword chi. Therefore, Dugu Yiming found Duan Iyun. The latter was also very interested in this destructive sword chi. They studied it for several years and finally created this terrifying divine ability that could activate the destructive sword chi. Its attack power seemed to be able to annihilate everything. It was called Nirvana. In this divine ability, Dugu Yiming needed to cast a few unique sword-controlling techniques on Duan Iyun's bones in advance. At this time, Duan Iyun was like a human-shaped sword treasure that could be temporarily activated by the sword-controlling technique. With her as the core, the destructive sword chi was condensed through the demonic blood sword embryo and the magic swords of the two core formation stage sword cultivators. The current Nirvana divine ability could produce 2 rounds of attack. The first round was Duan Iyun using the magic power of her bones and demonic blood power to activate the energy in the demonic sword and magic swords to form a destructive sword ball outside her body. Together with her physical strength, it produced a terrifying explosion. The second round was guided by the explosion of the destructive sword ball, which transformed Duan Iyun's remaining physical strength into dozens of destructive sword chi along her joints. This divine ability was only used by the disciples of the Heaven Sword technique to make up for the lack of magic power. The real core was Dugu Yiming and Duan Iyun. Only with the cooperation of the two could they activate the destructive sword chi. And with the combination of the sword-controlling technique and physical strength, the power of the first round of attack could reach its maximum. We are still in the early stage. When we enter the late stage, Duan Iyun's magic power of her bones will increase greatly, and her demonic blood power will also reach the core formation stage. Then, she won't need the help of the disciples of the Heaven Sword technique. And at that time, the destructive sword chi of the Nirvana divine ability, together with Duan Iyun's physical strength and her sword bones at the mature stage, will be able to kill even early-stage nascent soul stage cultivators. Thinking of this, Dugu Yiming's expression suddenly became fanatical. The two of us are just a combination of destruction, sword chi. If there are more combinations like this, wouldn't we be able to create a sword formation with several or even a dozen human-shaped sword treasures? We can use the sword formation to trap the enemy. Every sword treasure is a sword cultivator with explosive combat strength. Not only can it activate the destructive sword chi, but it can also enhance the physical strength. Such a Nirvana sword formation, how terrifying would it be? 100 miles away, a ball of black light and a golden sword light flew one after the other. In the black light, the 4 nascent soul stage cultivators of the 4 sects and 3 clans looked at the approaching sword light, and their expressions became more and more uneasy. One of the white-haired old men said in a deep voice, "In less than half an hour, we will be caught up. Instead of fighting passively, it's better to stop and fight. With our combined defensive power, we can hold on for a long time. By then, Senior Brother Song and the others may arrive." A middle-aged woman frowned and said, "Daoist Zheng, did Daoist Song respond to your message? I have also sent a message to the clan leader, but I haven't received a reply." The old man, surnamed Zheng, frowned and said, "Me too. Maybe they attacked the deepest part of the Sacred Poison sect and were isolated by the restriction. Not good. That guy's speed is faster." My mixed essence shield is not weak. I will be responsible for the frontal defense. They stopped, and a flat gray shield was placed in front of them. Demonic banners, spirit rings, and other defensive treasures surrounded them. They had seen Huang Xiaoyan's attacks before. His forelimbs could be considered sword treasures, and his attacking methods were extremely nimble. If they only defended one side, it would be too dangerous. The defensive treasures not only formed a circle around them, but they also covered up and down, and their treasures connected together. In addition, their protective spiritual lights had also merged together to form an extremely thick shield that tightly enveloped these people. When Huang Xiaoyan saw this, he didn't reduce his speed and directly rushed over. The nascent soul stage cultivators breathed a sigh of relief. They were afraid that this person would use some unknown secret technique to conceal himself and launch a sneak attack. If they attacked directly, they believed that their combined defense could even block the attack of a great cultivator. At this moment, the old man surnamed Zheng, who was the first to speak, suddenly changed his hand seal. The protective spiritual lights that fused with the others suddenly dissipated, and he swept his mixed essence shield away from the defensive circle of the four cultivators. Old man Zheng, damn it, they're in cahoots. The other three cultivators were stunned for a moment, but they immediately reacted. They didn't have time to curse, and their nascent soul power surged wildly, wanting to fill the gap in the defense in front of them. But who knew that Huang Xiaoyan, who was still 70 to 80 feet away, would suddenly open his clenched fists. These two golden sword chi, which were as thick as an arm and 3 feet long, shot out. They intertwined with each other, forming a spiral shape that distorted the surrounding air. This lightning-like sword chi quickly passed through the gap in the defensive treasures, and the hastily fused shield couldn't withstand such a terrifying sword chi and was instantly penetrated. The three nascent soul stage demonic cultivators couldn't care about anything else. They wanted to escape from their nascent souls and use teleportation techniques. But as the sword chi broke through, the air around them became viscous, as if there was an endless force squeezing inwards. For a moment, they couldn't use teleportation techniques. Boom! An extremely sharp energy exploded, and the three nascent soul stage demonic cultivators were directly submerged by this terrifying sword chi. Chapter 1097. The ancestor of body cultivators is on leave today. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 1098. When the blinding golden sword light dissipated, the three nascent soul cultivators were completely annihilated, leaving only a few defensive magic treasures and storage bracelets in the air. Huang Xiaoyan let out a breath of turbid air, and his hands were still trembling. Not only did the fist heart sword require time to accumulate power, but it also placed a considerable amount of pressure on the bones of his hand. After accumulating power for so long, the bones of his hand had suffered some damage. With a wave of his hand, Huang Xiaoyan put away the magic treasures and storage bracelets. He then turned to old man Zheng and cupped his hands in salute. "Thank you for your assistance, fellow Taoist Zheng. Otherwise, it would have been troublesome to deal with these people." Old man Zheng hurriedly shook his head and said, "Fellow Taoist Huang is too polite. Even if I wasn't here, you would have easily dealt with the battle with your abilities." This old man was a nascent soul cultivator from the Ghost Spirit sect. He had returned to the Yin sifting sect with Song Yuan in order to assist the Sacred Poison sect. The ambush of the 4 sects and 3 clans had been directly exposed by them. When Huang Xiaoyan found out about this, he decided to beat them at their own game. He had Pan Yin protect, doing in the open while he hid in the shadows. With Old Man Zheng as a spy, they were able to eliminate the enemy. Old Man Zheng hesitated for a moment before saying, "Fellow Taoist Huang, are we going to the Sacred Poison sect?" Even with Senior Marshal Brother Song's assistance, there are still 7 other nascent soul cultivators. Huang Xiaoyan chuckled and said, Fellow Taoist Zheng, don't worry. The Sacred Poison Sect has already made their preparations. They also have 2 nascent soul elders overseeing them. Nothing will go wrong. When old man Zheng heard this, his expression relaxed. After this battle, he had gained a direct understanding of the body refining pavilion's nascent soul cultivators. Between Huang Xiaoyan and Pan Yin, one had terrifying offensive power, while the other had monstrous defensive power. If one were to compare their divine sense to early nascent soul physique cultivators, both of them were existences capable of fighting above their level. There was no need to even mention Pavilion Master Lu. The power of his divine sense was at the late nascent soul stage, but the power of his meteorite-like divine ability was comparable to that of a deity transformation cultivator. At that moment, a white jade talisman appeared in Huang Xiaoyan's hand. He swept his spiritual sense through it and smiled. Fellow Taoist Zheng, Junior Martial Brother Pan, and Duan have already escaped. The core cultivators of the 4 sects and 3 clans have also been dealt with. While the other party's nascent soul cultivator is not around, we should wipe out the encampments of the 4 sects and 3 clans and enter the demonic Dragon Mountain. As long as we take down demonic Dragon Mountain in one go, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance won't be able to react in time. Fellow Taoist. The 2 of them then turned into 2 streaks of light and flew towards a flat-top mountain. In the far west of the heavens, the Poison Sect. The 10,000 Poisons formation of the Sacred Poison Sect was already in tatters. 2 huge black warships floated in the gray poisonous miasma. Many disciples of the 5 sects and 3 clans were circling the valley, trying to find the Sacred Poison Sect's disciples. The 8 nascent soul cultivators were all gathered in the center of the valley, standing outside a restriction. Several of them were holding low-level Sacred Poison Sect cultivators and were using soul-searching techniques. Lung Fian waved her hand, and the low-level cultivator in her hand was burned to ashes by a ball of demonic flames. She nodded and said, "That's what I found. The Sacred Poison Sect's core is below this restriction. Aside from the Immortals' cave residence, the teleportation formation is also in the square below. The Sacred Poison Sect's reaction is really fast. The 10,000 Poisons formation has bought us a quarter of an hour. Most of the disciples have already hidden inside." An old man said, "Then what are we waiting for? How can this restriction stop us?" As soon as he said that, he summoned a bronze hammer magic treasure. The others also used their abilities. Countless spiritual lights flashed, and rumbling sounds echoed throughout the valley. After 10 breaths, the powerful restriction was completely destroyed, revealing a slanted passage. Pure demonic chi surged out from it. Several tyrannical divine senses probed inside. This place interferes with spiritual senses. The material of the passage is a little strange. The last section seems to be made of dragon-breaking stone. Behind the dragon-breaking stone is the exit. It seems to be a square. Lung Fian looked worried and said, "This narrow place is most suitable for body cultivators to fight. If there are body cultivators hiding behind the passage," Song Yuan frowned and said, "The bottom of the passage is made of dragon-breaking stone. Although it interferes with spiritual senses, it can't be used to set up a formation. The only dangerous place is the exit." He narrowed his eyes and said, "It's only been 15 minutes since we invaded. I'm afraid the teleportation formation hasn't been activated yet. But if we delay any longer, we can't be sure." Song Yuan looked around at everyone, especially the nascent soul cultivators of the 3 great clans. He said, "My defensive abilities are not weak. If you're afraid, I'll take the lead. However, I want to pick 3 treasures first. I have no objections." Taoist Song, you should take the risk. No problem. These nascent soul cultivators were not short-sighted. They knew that they were in a race against time. If they delayed for too long, they might have to face an endless stream of cultivators from the body refining pavilion. Since Song Yuan was willing to take the lead, they naturally had no objections. Therefore, Song Yuan cast a few defensive mystic arts on himself and summoned 2 defensive magic treasures. He took the lead and flew into the passage. The others followed closely behind. After a few hundred feet, they arrived at the area of dragon-breaking stone. At this time, their spiritual senses could already detect the scene behind the exit. It was a vast underground square. A formation flashing with spiritual light was in the center. A few cultivators surrounded the formation, testing it anxiously. Teleportation formation. They're already testing it. Song Yuan checked it briefly and flew out. The exit of the passage seemed to be very safe. However, when he arrived in front of the teleportation formation, rays of spiritual light rushed out. Oh no, it's the spirit trapping formation. Everyone, quickly break the formation. They're about to finish testing it. Then, Song Yuan's figure was covered by the formation. The faces of the nascent soul stage cultivators who were still in the tunnel changed as they hurriedly flew out of the tunnel. The 4 cultivators from the 3 clans looked at each other with serious expressions on their faces. It was as if they wanted those people to take the lead and slow down. However, at this time, the dragon-breaking stone walls around the passage suddenly surged with a terrifying pressure. It came from all directions. Oh no, there's a formation. The 4 nascent soul cultivators were shocked and angry. Their defensive spiritual light instantly merged together. A faint black circular demonic shield was pressed in midair by this force. Rumble. Almost at the same time as this pressure appeared, 2 huge gray stone doors suddenly fell from the 2 ends of the broken dragonstone passage, turning this area into a sealed room. From the 2 stone doors, there was also a huge, invisible force gushing out. The Zhua clan leader's face was gloomy. What kind of formation is this? How could it be set in the dragon-breaking stone? Fortunately, the 4 of us attacked and retreated together. Otherwise, none of us would be able to withstand this pressure. The other 3 cultivators were also sweating profusely. If they hadn't cooperated beforehand and reacted quickly, they would have been crushed by this terrifying force. As they activated the defensive shield together, they could clearly feel that this pressure not only had the attack power of a mid-nascent soul cultivator, but it also seemed to be endless. A spiritual light flashed in front of a black-haired elder. A longsword magic treasure shot forward. However, just as it rushed out of the shield, its speed slowed down. It crawled slowly like a tortoise. What do we do? Under this pressure, even our magic treasures can't move. If this force continues to press, our demonic power will be exhausted sooner or later. There's no movement from the dragon-breaking stone door. Are the people from the 4 major sects just going to ignore us? The Zhua clan leader's face turned ugly. Those people will definitely prioritize destroying the teleportation portal. We can only rely on ourselves. He used his divine sense to sense and said, "This invisible force is pressing in from all directions. If we destroy the dragon-breaking stone door in front of us, we will be pushed out of the passage under the pressure of the other forces. The power of one person's magic treasure is not enough. Only by combining our demonic power can we resist the pressure of a mid-nascent soul cultivator. Then, we can use the impact of our magic treasures to destroy the dragon-breaking stone. My square heaven seal is made of millennium dark iron. It's very hard. This magic treasure is the main material." All right. The Zhua clan leader waved his hand, and a dark blue square seal appeared in front of him. The other people's demonic power condensed into this magic treasure. In an instant, the light of the magic treasure shone brightly and rushed out of the defensive shield. Its speed was affected to a certain extent, but it was much better than before. At least, it was not much different from an ordinary magic treasure. In the blink of an eye, it crashed into the dragon-breaking stone door in front of them. Boom! The magic treasure's spiritual light was mostly dissipated by the dragon-breaking stone. However, the impact was very strong. With one hit, a fist-sized hole was created. The 4 of them perked up, but before they could continue to cast their spells, a ball of blood-red liquid suddenly gushed out from behind the broken pieces of the dragon-breaking stone. A layer of the gray stone walls on the other walls automatically fell off, and 3 different colored liquids gushed out from them. Under the pressure of the invisible force field, these liquids instantly turned into clouds of colorful mist and pressed against the shields of the few people. Holy poison! The faces of the nascent soul cultivators of the 3 major clans changed drastically, revealing a look of horror. For types of terrifying poisons that were comparable to the power of a nascent soul cultivator, under the pressure of the invisible force field, stuck to their shields and made a series of corrosive sounds. The spiritual light on the shields dissipated at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chapter 1099. Song Yuan, you're a traitor. The Shade-Sifting sect has been colluding with the Sacred Venom sect for a long time. In the underground plaza of Ashmarsh Valley, the mid-nascent soul stage demonic cultivator, Song Yuan, had broken free from the restriction at some point in time. The formation that trapped him flickered with spiritual light as a giant Dahe figure struggled madly inside. The remaining 3 nascent soul stage cultivators stood outside the sealed passageway, their faces filled with shock and anger. The spirit binding formation hadn't trapped Song Yuan at all. Instead, it was under Song Yuan's control. If not for the demonic cultivators of 100 Barbarian Mountain summoning Grade 8 demonic beasts to help them resist the restriction, they would have been trapped inside instead. The sealed passage behind them was clearly a trap set up by the Sacred Venom sect to separate them. Quickly destroy the Dragon Break Stone Gate and save our fellow Taoists. All right, I'll keep an eye on Song Yuan. The 3 reacted quickly. The middle-aged man from 100 Barbarian Mountain confronted Song Yuan, while Lung Fian and the other demonic cultivator activated their treasures and blasted them at the Dragon Break Stone Gate. Roar! At this moment, with a deafening roar, a boulder by the side of the tunnel suddenly shattered. A muscular, 8-foot-tall yellow bear man charged out of the boulder. Its thick paws were covered in a layer of blue spiritual light and slapped away the 2 treasures aimed at the stone gate. A Grade 8 demon beast. At the same time, a man and a woman appeared beside Song Yuan. They were clearly nascent soul cultivators from their vigorous magic power. Several treasures transformed into streaks of light and blasted towards the demonic cultivators of the 3 sections. Not good. There's an ambush. Damn it. For a moment, the underground square was filled with surging spiritual pressure, and rumbling sounds rose and fell one after another. On the other side of the battlefield, a black warship about 30 meters long was hidden in the clouds 50 kilometers away from Demon Dragon Mountain. At the front of the deck of the battleship, there were several demonic cultivators with profound auras. They were all nascent soul cultivators. One of them was a middle-aged man with green hair who was even at the mid-nascent soul stage. He was the city lord of Monolith City and the head of the Rogue Cultivators Alliance, Ba Funyan. At this moment, City Lord Ba had an uneasy expression on his face. The other nascent soul stage cultivators of the Rogue Cultivators Alliance also had fearful expressions on their faces as cold sweat dripped down their foreheads. In front of them stood a middle-aged man with a sturdy figure, dressed in a gray robe. It was Lu Kuan who had rushed over from Chu State. Previously, he had been lying in ambush outside Dao 1 Gate. Not long after, he had discovered several nascent soul cultivators from the Xian sect. To be on the safe side, Lu Kuan had launched a sneak attack. Not only had he killed the other party, but he had also captured the nascent soul cultivators alive. Although he couldn't find out the secrets of the Xian sect, he did find out a lot of information about the Saint Devil sect. Combined with the information he had obtained from Peng Yunhua's soul, Lu Kuan deduced that the reason why the Saint Devil sect had taken over the Seven Evils sect was because a treasure was about to mature. And this treasure was extremely helpful for demonic cultivators to break through to the spirit-severing stage. The Saint Devil sect's Grand Elder was refining this treasure in the Seven Evils sect, attempting to break through to the spirit-severing stage. Since Lu Kuan had decided to strike first and eliminate the threat of the Saint Devil sect and the Xian sect, he naturally wouldn't let this Grand Elder of the Saint Devil sect go. Thus, he had come from Zhongyun State to the west state of the Qi State. Coincidentally, he had discovered that the battle at the demonic Dragon Mountain had already begun. While he was observing the battle, he had accidentally discovered the rogue Cultivator's alliance lurking in the dark. Lu Kuan observed the movements at the demonic Dragon Mountain and said calmly, "City Lord Ba, according to what you said, the rogue Cultivator's alliance is only here to watch the battle?" Ba Fingnian swallowed his saliva and braced himself to say, "Other than watching the battle, Elder Qian had also specially instructed us to help the sacred poison sect at critical moments." Lu Kuan turned his head and glanced at the crowd. He didn't say anything and continued to look into the distance. These nascent soul stage old monsters felt even more uneasy, but they didn't dare to make any moves. Their battleship had been perfectly hidden in the clouds when someone suddenly broke through their restrictive spells. Shocked and enraged, they unleashed their magical treasures to attack. However, when their magical treasures landed on the enemy's fleshly body, they weren't able to cause any damage. Moreover, he had only released a strange force field ability, and it had almost crushed their protective spiritual light. With all kinds of strange abilities in the opponent's face, Ba Fingyan immediately realized that this person was the owner of the body refining pavilion that Qian Jingshan had asked him to pay attention to. He hurriedly stopped everyone's attacks. Ba Fingyan's heart was in a mess. The pressure that this Master Lu gave him was even more terrifying than that of old Demon Pang. It was as if he could destroy them with a raise of his hand. Moreover, this Master Lu's body was as hard as a magical treasure. With their abilities, they probably wouldn't be able to hurt him at all. Fortunately, the body refining pavilion and the blood refining sect had an agreement of alliance. Master Lu didn't seem to have any intention of being heavy-handed. None of the nascent soul stage cultivators of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance dared to speak. They just stood there quietly with Lu Kuan. After half a day, the fluctuations of the battle in the distance calmed down. Lu Kuan slowly said, "The battle of the demonic Dragon Mountain has ended. Since you were sent by fellow Taoist Qian, you should return and report. Then let's return to the blood refining sect together. Lu has some matters to discuss with fellow Taoist Qian." Hearing this, Ba Fingyan quickly nodded and said, "It's our honor to have Master Lu with us." Then he used his divine sense to instruct the core formation stage disciples at the back to control the battleship. The battleship, refined from the miraculous gate, turned around and flew towards the Blood Demon mountain range. Lu Kuan sensed the speed of the battleship and said to Ba Fingyan, "Lu has been in seclusion for a while. Has anything major happened in the cultivation world of the state of Qi in the past few years?" Ba Fingyan hesitated for a moment and then began to talk about the changes in the state of Qi in the past few years. Lu Kuan listened quietly. When he mentioned the Yin-Yang sect, he was shocked. "You're saying that Su Junwen has taken control of the Yin-Yang sect?" Ba Fingyan nodded and said, "Ever since the previous Yin-Yang sect master failed to break through to the soul formation stage, Su Junwen's strength increased by leaps and bounds. Not only did he enter the mid-stage of the nascent soul stage, but he also seems to have cultivated a powerful ability with 2 nascent souls. His abilities are comparable to that of a grand cultivator's, and he took control of the sect." Lu Kuan touched his chin and couldn't help but think about many years ago when he disguised himself as Zhang Tianbiao and cooperated with Su Junwen. At that time, the 7 Evils sect's Han Sha extracted the souls of the nascent souls, while Su Junwen used a strange dual cultivation method to absorb the power of the nascent souls and the essence of the physical body. It seemed that he was cultivating some kind of powerful ability. He continued, "It seems that after the war in the state of Qi, the Yin-Yang sect went through another internal conflict and their strength was greatly weakened. Does the blood refining sect not have any thoughts about this?" Ba Fingyan said awkwardly, "Master Lu, in the war 100 years ago, the blood refining sect suffered the most losses. Most of their nascent soul elders died. Even the Rogue Cultivator Alliance only has a few old guys left. We don't have the strength to fight with the Yin-Yang sect. Moreover, the Seven Evils sect still exists. If the two sects fight, wouldn't it be convenient for a third party? Lu Kuan asked, "Are there any changes in the Seven Evils sect?" Ba Fengyan hesitated and said, "The Seven Evils disciples and old devil Yuan Sha have been in seclusion. They seem to be trying to break through the bottleneck of the soul formation stage. However, there are some new faces in the Seven Evils sect. It seems that there are many disciples." Lu Kuan listened to him, and his eyes flashed. No one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 1100. On this day, 5 or 6 cultivators were sitting in a pavilion in the depths of a certain market in the West Prefecture of the Qi Nation. "Old you, why did you call us here? Is there a conclusion to the battle at Demonic Dragon Mountain? It can't be so fast." The three major forces seemed to have just reached a stalemate. Everyone was looking at a plump old man. He put down his teacup and said with a complicated expression, "Demonic Dragon Mountain has been monopolized by the Sacred Poison sect. They have also killed all the nascent soul cultivators of the other forces. The 4 sects and 3 clans only exist in name now." Everyone's expression changed drastically. They seemed to be shocked by this news. The 4 sects and 3 clans have at least 10 nascent soul cultivators. Even in the war many years ago in the Qi Nation, there were not so many who died. The Sacred Poison sect actually has such terrifying strength? Isn't the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance a force of the blood refining sect? Aren't they going to interfere? Taoist you, the news must be fake. The plump old man said slowly, "This news came from the Sacred Poison sect. It will spread throughout the Qi Nation soon. The 4 sects and 3 clans have not made any moves. This news cannot be fake. I'm not sure how the Sacred Poison sect destroyed the 4 sects and 3 clans, but I know that this demon sect is actually a subordinate sect of the Wei Nation's Body Refining Pavilion. If the cultivators of the Body Refining Pavilion are involved, it makes sense." Another thin, middle-aged man was puzzled. "What is the background of this Body Refining Pavilion? I've been in seclusion and only learned of this sect after coming out." The plump old man said, "I have a good relationship with City Lord Ba. I heard a lot of news about the Body Refining Pavilion. It is said that this is a hidden sect. They cultivate a body refining immortal cultivation technique that has never appeared in the immortal cultivation world. After they appeared, they dominated the Wei Nation's immortal cultivation world with their powerful strength. The owner of the Body Refining Pavilion is also in the Great Cultivator realm. Due to the uniqueness of his body refining technique, his combat strength is amazing. The Blood Refining sect is not willing to provoke him and even formed a non-attack agreement with him. A hidden sect that cultivates body refining immortal cultivation, specialized in cultivating the physical body." A young woman in red suddenly thought of something and said with a frown, "I heard from my disciples that they encountered some strange cultivators who fought with magic weapons. Their combat power was amazing. Could they be the disciples of the Body Refining Pavilion?" The chubby old man nodded and said, "That's right. It said that the low-level disciples of the Body Refining Pavilion don't use the artifact manipulation technique to activate their artifacts. Instead, they fight with their artifacts in hand. Not only can they fully unleash the power of their artifacts, but they can also increase their physical strength. Their combat power is generally higher than cultivators of the same level. Although I've never seen a high-level body cultivator before, I can infer that a nascent soul stage body cultivator is probably equivalent to a metamorphosis stage Yao cultivator with a magic treasure. Against an opponent of the same level, I don't have the confidence to win." The thin, middle-aged man pondered and said, "If the news is true, it means that the Body Refining Pavilion strength is unfathomable. Once they stabilize their foothold in Demonic Dragon Mountain, they might continue to expand." The others also looked worried. The Body Refining Pavilion has taken over the Devil Pool. Could it be that they want to develop a 4th devil sect in the state of Qi? If a powerful devil sect also appears in the West Prefecture, Where will we small sects and clans go? The chubby old man sighed and said, "This is why I've invited you all here. The Sacred Poison Sect, or rather, the Body Refining Pavilion, has already stabilized in the West Prefecture. We need to discuss how to get along with them. There are only three options. We can either express our goodwill and become their subordinate sect, or we can ignore them for the time being and face them together. If there's no other option, we can only leave the West Prefecture." Everyone fell silent for a moment. If they were willing to become subordinate to other sects, they would have already done so. As for facing off against the Sacred Poison Sect, that was even more ridiculous. The 4 sects and 3 clans had already failed, so what were they? Were they supposed to leave the West Prefecture? "Perhaps there's another option," the red-clothed woman suddenly said. "What?" Her eyes flickered as she said, "The 3 great devil sects of the state of Qi definitely don't want a 4th force to appear in the state of Qi. We could try to contact them. If the 3 great devil sects join forces, the Body Refining Pavilion won't be a match for them no matter how powerful they are." The chubby old man frowned and said, "Not to mention that the Blood Refining Pavilion has an alliance with them. Even if they let the Rogue Cultivator Alliance take action, you're afraid that you're inviting the wolf into the house. If the 3 great devil sects divide the West Prefecture, we won't have any place to live. I think we should express our goodwill first. It's not that easy for a major devil sect to appear. If we express our goodwill, we can at least live in peace for hundreds of years." "That's not right." Next, the remaining small sects and clans in the West Prefecture began to discuss. State of Qi's South Prefecture, Blood Devil Mountain Range. The meeting hall of the Blood Refining Pavilion was located on a steep mountain peak. In the spacious room sat 3 cultivators. The red-haired old man sitting at the head of the table was the Grand Elder of the Blood Refining Pavilion, Qian Jingshan. Beside him was a young woman with some baby fat. Her aura was incomparably vigorous, indicating that she had reached the late nascent soul realm. The middle-aged man sitting in the guest seat was Lu Kuan, who had come to visit the Blood Refining Pavilion. He looked at the young woman with a surprised expression and said, "I didn't expect Fairy Lu to have entered the realm of Grand Cultivator. Could it be that fellow Taoist Situ has also broken through?" Lu Yanjun and Situ Hao were famous dual cultivation Tao companions. This couple had been a powerful force of the Blood Refining Pavilion for many years. Both of them cultivated the blood demon art. When the two of them worked together, their strength was no less than that of a grand cultivator. Li Yanjun's face turned gloomy and said, "It's not that easy to break through the blood demon art. Although Big Brother Sidu had made thorough preparations, he still failed at the last step. I was only lucky enough to break through with the help of the Grand Elder." Lu Kuan said with some regret, "What a pity. If fellow Taoist Sidu had also broken through, the combined might of the two of you wouldn't be inferior to fellow Taoist Pang in the past." At this time, Qian Jingshan smiled and said, "Master Lu's visit this time shouldn't be just for small talk. I don't know what's so important that the pavilion master has to come personally." Lu Kuan heard this and said with a serious expression, "Lu's visit this time is to join hands with your sect to destroy the 7 Fiends sect." Qian Jingshan and Lu Yanjun heard this, and their expressions changed. Lu Kuan continued, "Did the two of you know that the 7 Fiends sect is actually a chess piece of the Great Zhou dynasty's Saint Devil sect? Not long ago, it was completely controlled by the Saint Devil sect." "Saint Devil sect? Master Lu, is this true?" Qian Jingshan's expression was shocked, as if this was the first time he had heard this news. Lu Kuan nodded and said with a cold tone, "Lu didn't know at first, but who knew that the Saint Devil sect's 3rd Elder Shui Tianyu would sneak attack Lu? This information was obtained from this guy's nascent soul search." Qian Jingshan's pupils shrank, and a trace of shock flashed across his eyes. After a while, he said with a serious expression, "I didn't think that the Great Zhou dynasty's demon sect had already infiltrated the Qi kingdom. But to deal with the Great Zhou dynasty's demon sect," Lu Kuan interrupted, "Lu and the Yin-Yang sect's Su Junwen have some friendship. This time, apart from inviting the Blood Demon sect, he will also invite the Yin-Yang sect to attack together. With our combined forces, Even the Great Zhou dynasty's top-ranked demon sect will be nothing. Qian Jingshan hesitated and said, "Since Master Lu has this plan, it seems that he has the intention to kill the Seven Fiends sect. Just the Saint Devil sect offending Master Lu doesn't seem to be worth such a big move. Could the Pavilion Master tell us the reason?" Lu Kuan glanced at Li Yanjun and didn't answer. Junior Sister Lu is not an outsider. Master Lu, you don't need to worry. Lu Kuan said slowly. According to the results of Lu's soul search, the Seven Fiends sect has been hiding some kind of treasure of the Saint Devil sect. This treasure is extremely helpful in breaking through to the spirit severing stage. Now that the Saint Devil sect has taken over the Seven Fiends sect, is to let their great elder refine this treasure and borrow the Qi Kingdom's demon Yuan Qi to try to break through to the spirit severing stage. A treasure that can help the spirit severing stage break through. Hearing this, Qian Jingshan couldn't help but stand up. He already knew that the Saint Devil sect's disciple had appeared in the Seven Fiends sect. He also guessed that they wanted to borrow the Qi Kingdom's demon Yuan Qi, but he didn't know about this treasure that could help the spirit-severing stage breakthrough. Lu Kuan chuckled and said, "Fellow Taoist Qian, Lu wants to destroy the Seven Fiends sect. On one hand, he wants to kill their great elder in the cradle of his breakthrough. On the other hand, he wants to obtain this treasure. If the blood-refining sect is willing to cooperate, we can share this treasure." The blood-refining sect has never cooperated with the body-refining pavilion before, so they don't understand the methods of body-refining sect. This kind of battle between sects is what the body-refining pavilion is best at, and with Lu at the front, everyone's safety will be greatly increased. Hearing Lu Kuan's words, Qian Jingshan's eyes flashed with interest. He hesitated for a moment and said, "Master Lu, this is a serious matter. I need to gather all the elders in the sect to discuss this." Lu Kuan laughed and said, "Fellow Taoist Qian, please discuss this quickly. Lu will go to the Yinyang sect first. I hope to hear good news from you when I return. Goodbye." With that, his body flashed and turned into a ray of light flying out of the meeting hall. A hole was smashed through the restriction at the door. Chapter 1101. Qian Jingshan looked at the hole in the restriction with an unsightly expression. Spiritual light flashed in his hand, and a formation plate appeared. Layers of formation lines appeared on it, and on these lines, tiny holes appeared one after another. Seeing this, Lu Yanjun couldn't help but say, "This Master Lu is too rude. Even if his abilities are powerful, there's no need for him to break through layer after layer of restrictions to leave." The corner of Qian Jingshan's mouth twitched, and he said with a bitter smile, "Back then, I also secretly snuck into the body-refining pavilion. Apart from showing off his strength, this guy also wanted to take revenge. He sent a series of spell seals into the formation plate, and the broken restrictions automatically recovered. At the same time, his lips moved slightly, and he sent out several talismans to calm the panicked disciples outside." Qian Jingshan put away the formation plate and said slowly, "Although we didn't open the restriction formation, with our strength, we couldn't have broken through the restrictions so quickly." Junior Apprentice Sister Lu? That was the first time you met Master Lu. What do you think of his strength? Li Yanjun hesitated for a moment and said, "Although Junior Apprentice Sister is proficient in the art of perception, this Master Lu is extremely strange. There's no demonic aura in his body, only a strange pressure that makes people shudder. That feeling, it's like," she frowned, as if she couldn't think of a word to describe it. Qian Jingshan said, "Isn't it like facing a top-grade demonic zombie?" Lu Yanjun said in realization, "That's right, it's the feeling of fighting a demonic zombie. Especially when Master Lu left, that pressure was even more obvious. Could it be that the body-refining technique is to cultivate a physical body like a demonic zombie?" Qian Jingshan sighed softly and said, "Senior Apprentice Brother's demonic zombie couldn't even last one move before it was easily captured. Also, I have a faint feeling that his strength seems to have broken through again compared to 100 years ago. This person's physical body is probably several times stronger than a nascent soul-stage demonic zombie. Also, when he saw the two of us, he didn't show any fear at all. The confidence brought about by his powerful strength doesn't seem to be fake. I'm afraid that even if we join forces, we might not be able to take him down. Li Yanjun revealed a shocked expression and said, "That can't be." Although Junior Martial Sister made a breakthrough with the help of Senior Martial Brother's Devil Cultivation art, and her Blood Demon force didn't change, the density of her Devil force is no less than that of a veteran late nascent Soul Realm Cultivator. Senior Brother has even reached the peak of Grand Cultivator Realm. That top-grade demonic zombie and the demonic zombie refined from Sidhu, Hao's fleshly body, are at least equivalent to 3 grand cultivators working together. With such strength, we are confident that we can deal with old Fiend Pang at his peak. Qian Jingshan shook his head and said, "Junior Sister, you haven't fought with Master Lu before. You can't judge him with the means of an ordinary immortal cultivator. Apart from having the offensive power of a great cultivator, he also has a body and speed that far surpasses that of a devil zombie." Li Yanjun's expression changed. She naturally knew the strength of a nascent soul-stage demonic zombie. If Master Lu was really like what Qian Jingshan said, they would probably have to use the power of the formation to restrict him. Qian Jingshan continued. Lu Kuan was able to obtain such detailed information about the Seven Fiends sect. This means that the Saint Devil sect's third elder was really killed by him. This demonic sect that is ranked at the top of the Great Zhou dynasty is not simple. In history, there has been more than one divine transformation cultivator. Their foundation is so deep that we can't compare to it. Old Fiend Pang also killed a grand cultivator from the Great Zhou dynasty, but he didn't have the strength to capture his nascent soul. It can be seen that Master Lu's magical means have already surpassed old Fiend Pang's. He pondered for a moment and said, "Junior Sister Lu, gather the 5 elders. I'll discuss the members of the 7 Fiends sect." Lu Yanjun was slightly stunned and said, "Senior Brother Qian has already decided to participate in the battle." Qian Jingshan nodded and said, "For our sect, this matter has more advantages than disadvantages. Not only can we eliminate the threat of the Great Zhou dynasty, we can also obtain some secret techniques from the Great Zhou dynasty. Even the resources of the North Zhou dynasty will be redistributed. Even without the treasure that Master Lu mentioned, these benefits are enough for us to participate in the battle." Yanju nodded and said, "Junior Sister, I'll go inform them now." After she finished speaking, she turned into a beam of spiritual light and left the meeting hall. Qian Jingshan murmured, "The information that the Supreme Devil revealed was useful. But who would have thought that a grand cultivator from the Saint Devil sect would die at the hands of Lu Kuan? The Saint Devil sect must be eliminated. This matter can't be better if the Body Refining Pavilion takes the lead." The Yin-Yang sect was located in the eastern province of the Qi Kingdom. The sect was built on a vast plain. There are all kinds of exquisite buildings here. If it weren't for the faintly discernible formations and restrictions, it would look like a huge mortal city. A few hundred miles away from the Yin-Yang sect, a burly bald man stood on a mountaintop. He held a milky white jade pendant in his hand, as if he was waiting for something. After an unknown amount of time, the bald man turned his head and looked in a certain direction. The corner of his mouth curled up. "Since Fairy Sue is here, why hide?" In another direction of the mountaintop, 3 figures gradually appeared. The one in the lead was a beautiful woman in a purple dress with a curvy figure. Behind her was a man and a woman. They both had outstanding looks and figures. The 3 of them were wrapped in a layer of protective spiritual light, revealing the demonic aura of a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator. This beautiful woman was the current holy lord of the Yin-Yang sect, Su Junwen. She looked at the bald man in front of her. Her long and narrow eyelids trembled slightly, and her pupils turned black and white. She slowly said, "So it's Taoist Zhang. May I know why you've agreed to meet me?" The bald man looked at the two people behind her meaningfully, but didn't say anything. Su Junwan said softly, "They're my trusted subordinates. Dao is Zhang. Please feel free to speak." The bald man nodded slightly. The muscles on his face twisted, and short black hair grew on his bald head. He cupped his fists and said, "Fairy Su, let me introduce myself again. I'm Lu Kuan, the owner of the Body Refining Pavilion." The Body Refining Pavilion. Before Su Junwan could say anything, the two people behind her were shocked. Su Junwan narrowed her eyes and felt the familiar soul aura again. She sighed and said, "I only guessed that Dao Zhang was a disciple of the Body Refining Pavilion. I didn't expect you to be Master Lu. Please forgive me." Lu Kuan said with a serious expression. "Before the Body Refining Pavilion appeared, Lu didn't want to meet you in person. Please forgive me, Fairy Su. I'm here on behalf of the Body Refining Pavilion. I have something important to discuss." As he spoke, his nascent soul, late-stage divine sense spread out from his body and shrouded the entire mountain. When a man and woman from the Yin-Yang sect sensed the divine sense, their expressions changed drastically. A pair of black and white shields floated in front of them. Lu Kuan didn't care about their actions. He said slowly, "Lu wants to invite the Yin-Yang sect to join forces with the pavilion to destroy the Seven Fiends sect." "What? Destroy the Seven Fiends sect?" Su Junwan's expression changed. She was even more shocked than when she knew Lu Kuan's identity. She couldn't help but ask, "The Seven Fiends sect is in the north of the Qi Kingdom. The Body Refining Pavilion is in the Wei Kingdom. The two sects are very far from each other. Why does Master Lu want to deal with the Seven Fiends sect?" Lu Kuan said meaningfully, "Fairy Su, you don't know. The Seven Fiends sect disappeared long ago. It is now under the control of the Saint Devil sect. What we want to destroy are the demonic cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty who broke into the Qi Kingdom. The fifth sect of the Great Zhou dynasty, the Saint Devil sect." Lu Kuan's hand flashed. A triangular token appeared in his hand, and he threw it over. Su Junwan caught it and scanned it with her divine sense. "The third elder of the Saint Devil sect, Shui Tianyu?" Lu Kuan said. "The restriction in this token has the unique mark of the Saint Devil sect. It is difficult for other sects to copy it." Lu learned about it from this guy's nascent soul. Now, the first elder of the Saint Devil sect is in the Seven Fiends sect. He is preparing to break through the bottleneck of the soul formation stage. If he succeeds, not only will the demonic essence of the Qi Kingdom be refined by him, it will also be difficult for your sect to survive. The Holy Poison sect of the West Continent has always been a subordinate sect of the Body Refining Pavilion. Facing this future threat, our pavilion has to act in advance. At this point, Lu Kuan's mouth moved slightly, and he sent a message with his divine sense. When Su Junwan heard this, he revealed a pleasantly surprised expression and said, "Pavilion Master Lu, are you serious?" Lu Kuan nodded and said, "Of course. Why don't you tell Fairy Su that the Blood Refining sect has agreed to join forces? Whether the Yin-Yang sect participates or not, we will kill the Seven Fiends sect." Hearing this, Su Junwan discussed with the two people behind her for a moment. She slowly said, "It is not impossible for me to agree, but what is Fairy Su's request?" Su Junwan's beautiful eyes flashed with a trace of seriousness. "Although it is rumored that Master Lu has the strength of a grand cultivator, I know that the Pavilion Master was only at the core formation stage 200 years ago. I believe that my talent is outstanding and I have many opportunities. Even so, I have only barely reached the mid-nascent soul stage. I want to confirm if Master Lu is as terrifying as the rumors say." Lu Kuan smiled and said, "Fairy Su wants to test Lu's strength? No problem. The three of you can attack together." Okay. Not long after, a series of rumbling sounds came from the top of the mountain. The surrounding spiritual chi of heaven and earth surged. The terrifying commotion even spread hundreds of miles away. Chapter 11:02 In the past few days, a shocking piece of news had spread throughout the cultivation world of the Western continent. The sacred poison sect had annihilated the nascent soul cultivators of the four sects and three clans and completely occupied the demonic Dragon Mountain Range. They also announced to the public that they had changed their name to the Poison Refining Pavilion. With the demonic Dragon Mountain Range as their core, they would clear out the remaining forces of the four sects and three clans and expand outwards. For a time, the remaining small forces and independent cultivators of the Western continent were in a state of panic. The demonic Dragon Mountain Range. Many disciples of the Poison Refining Pavilion and the Body Refining Pavilion were carrying bulging storage bags as they shuttled back and forth between mountains. They had moved the forbidden formation of the sacred poison sect over and planned to use the poisonous miasma here to set up the myriad poisons formation. The mountain peak at the very front of the mountain range looked very special. It was square-shaped and had two strange rocks that were hundreds of feet tall at the back. They looked like a pair of dragon horns, while the front part had two huge rocks that looked like huge dragon mouths roaring towards the east. This was the Dragon Head Peak of the demonic Dragon Mountain Range. The ancient restriction here had been broken, and the poisonous miasma that had been restrained by the restriction was gradually released and spread throughout the entire mountain range. Halfway up the mountain, there was a triangular cave entrance that was about 100 feet tall. Extremely pure, demonic chi surged out from it. A 3-zhang tall giant stood at the entrance of the cave. His body shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye. The black halo on his arms gradually dissipated. Soon, he turned into a middle-aged man. It was Lu Kuan. There were two people standing behind him. They were Huang Xiaoyun, and Du and shock still lingered in their eyes. It was the first time they had seen the transcendence world. The pressure from the dense yuan qi of heaven and earth made them tremble uncontrollably. The remaining power of the restriction has completely dissipated. Xiaoyun, you can move the restriction of the 5 elements over here first. Huang Xiaoyun came back to his senses and hurriedly agreed. A few days ago, the ancient restriction here had been broken under the attacks of several nascent soul cultivators of the Body Refining Pavilion. However, there were still many remnants, and they were unable to set up a new formation. Lu Kuan walked forward, and a vast space entered his eyes. This was a gigantic cave, thousands of feet long and hundreds of feet tall. There were stone pillars densely packed inside, and it looked like a stone forest. Each stone pillar was covered in a layer of dark yellow spiritual light that slowly emitted smoke. Except for the smoke's color, it contained the same poison as the poisonous miasma outside. The poison of demonic Dragon Mountain Range's body, the miasma of heaven and earth. Lu Kuan stretched out his hand, and a ball of gray poisonous miasma was sucked into his hand. He sensed the aura contained within and nodded. There is indeed the aura of the chi of heaven and earth inside. Your speculations should be correct. The function of this ancient restriction is to gather the unique Xianhuang Qi in the depths of the demonic Dragon Mountain Range. With the help of the special spiritual energy nurtured by the heavens and earth, it can destroy the water of the true demon. Lu Kuan looked into the distance. 5,000 feet away, there were 2 true demonic pools in the middle. More than half of the true demonic water was still there. However, in the process of condensing the chi of heaven and earth, poison was accidentally mixed in, causing the originally pure spiritual substance of heaven and earth to become highly toxic and filthy. After tens of thousands of years of accumulation of poison, it completely broke through the power of the restriction and exposed the demonic pool. He asked, "Little Du, you've been here for the past few days. Did you find anything?" Duan revealed a strange expression and said, "Pavilion Master, I did find something. The formation on the stone pillars seems to be related to the sacred poison technique." Lu Kuan was stunned and said, "Sacred poison technique?" Duan organized his words and said, "Pavilion Master should know that the sacred poison technique is actually divided into 2 parts. One of them is the cultivation method, and the other is the method of refining poison. Only by refining the poison into the demonic power can one smoothly break through. He walked to a stone pillar and pointed to the lines on both sides of a stone crack and said, "These runes are the special method of refining poison in the sacred poison technique. If I hadn't entered the nascent soul stage, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to see it." Lu Kuan pondered and said, "Since the Yuan sect has condensed the qi of heaven and earth, it's impossible to use the method of refining poison. Did someone add it later? But even if it has the effect of refining poison, where did the poison come from?" Duan hesitated and said, "I've studied this miasma. The poison has been combined with the qi of heaven and earth. It has a very strong resistance. Even the power of 100 poisons can't be refined in a short time. I feel that the poison also comes from the depths of the demonic Dragon Mountain. But in addition to the power of prohibition, there is also the qi of heaven and earth. The deeper you go, the more amazing the gravity. I'm afraid only Senior Brother Pan can sneak in to investigate." Lu pondered and said, "I'll tell Xiao Yin later. Now I'll give you a task. Copy the formation here as soon as possible and collect all the poison mist and stone pillars." Duan was slightly taken aback. Looking at the dense stone pillars, he smiled bitterly. "Pavilion Master, this is equivalent to using the Tao of arrays to break this profound yellow array. With disciples' attainments and arrays, I don't know how long it will take." Lu Kuan waved his hand and said, "I'll arrange for the formation masters of Chu countries' Xingyue Pavilion to help. The sooner the better." "Yes, Pavilion Master," Huang Xiaoyun said strangely. "Master, we've already occupied this place. It's all ours. Why do we have to take back the body refining pavilion?" Lu Kuan looked at the devil's pool in the distance and said slowly, "Xiao Yun, you should know the importance of the devil's pool to the body refining pavilion. The true devils can be said to be a necessity for body cultivators in the bone treasure stage. After the bone transformation stage, there will be a great demand for such a place with devil chi. Although this demonic Dragon Mountain is not bad, it has a major flaw. It is too far from the Wei Kingdom. The teleportation formation needs a certain amount of time to activate. It's fine if it encounters small skirmishes. The prohibition formation and the power of the 5 elements can buy time. But if it's besieged by several top cultivators or attacked by soul formation cultivators, the teleportation formation will become the best place for the enemy to ambush the body refining pavilion's disciples." Hearing this, Huang Xiaoyan said hesitantly, "Master's current strength is comparable to that of a top cultivator. Who in the surrounding sects would dare to attack the body refining pavilion? As for soul formation cultivators, other than the deceased senior of the soul formation sect, there hasn't been an appearance for tens of thousands of years." Lu Kuan shook his head and said with a deep gaze, "Xiao Yun, you may not know how tempting the body refining technique is to the top sects of the Great Zhou dynasty. In these sects, there are even soul formation cultivators in charge. Although these old fellows' strength will be weakened after leaving the Great Zhou dynasty, they are still invincible to nascent soul cultivators. If all of the nascent soul cultivators in the body refining pavilion join forces, they may be able to fight against the old monsters with the help of special restrictions and treasures. But the premise is that the body refining pavilion's territory cannot be scattered and can quickly gather the strongest cultivators." Huang Xiaoyan's face paled. "Master, if you say so, could it be that the Great Zhou dynasty's cultivators have already set their eyes on us?" Lu Kuan snorted. "The people of the Xian sect have all been killed by me. Only those from the Saint Devil sect are left. After dealing with them, I will personally go to the Great Zhou dynasty and find out the strength of soul formation cultivators. At the same time, I will find some entertainment for the Xian sect. At the very least, that old monster won't be able to come out of seclusion in the short term. At the same time, we have to make other preparations. If the Great Zhou dynasty's sects come on an expedition, they will definitely pass through the state of Qi." Hearing this, Huang Xiaoyun suddenly understood. "I understand. Master has his eyes on the Blood Demon Mountain range of the Blood Refining sect and wants to use the Demon Dragon Mountain range to trade. If that's the case, then the Blood Refining Sect and the Yin Yang Sect will be on the two sides of the Body Refining Pavilion. The three sects will form a triangle. If the Great Zhou dynasty wants to attack the Body Refining Pavilion in the center, they will be surrounded by the other two sections. It will be much more difficult. Lu Kuan praised. That's right. However, the Blood Refining Sect has been operating in the Blood Demon Mountain range for many years and won't move easily. This time, the Seven Fiends Sect attack will be the time to show them their strength. After the Seven Fiends Sect is destroyed, the state of Qi will be divided again. The Poison Refining Pavilion and the Body Refining Pavilion will be in the southwest of the Blood Demon Mountain range, while the Yin Yang Sect will be in the east. The Blood Refining Sect, which is in the middle, will definitely not be able to eat or sleep well. Then, we will have a chance to talk. At this point, he said in a deep voice, 10 days from now will be the day of the battle. Gather the strongest disciples of the Body Refining Sect. This time, in the Battle of the Seven Fiends Sect, we will show the terrifying strength of body refining. Let the demon sect of the state of Qi know that the Body Refining Pavilion can only be a friend, not an enemy. Chapter 1103. The ancestor of body cultivators needs to be updated. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 1104. State of Qi, Essence Fiend Valley. On a peak at the edge of the valley, a voluptuous woman looked towards the south. She held a voice transmission talisman in her hand and frowned. Senior brother, Shue, died in the state of Chu. Could the Grand Elder have made a mistake? He's in some kind of ancient restriction that could cause his soul to lose its ability to sense. He might not have died. This woman was called Mu Shue. She was one of the nascent soul elders from the Saint Devil sect who had come to the state of Qi. She was at the peak of the mid-nascent soul stage and was the closest to Shue Tianyu among all the elders. Elder Brother Shue said earlier that he would be joining forces with Peng Yuanhua from the Supreme Profundity sect, as well as the Grand Cultivators from the state of Chu. With such a force, they would be able to hold their own against 3 or 4/10th level demonic beasts. Furthermore, they were only dealing with one person. Furthermore, it was an ambush and a sneak attack. If they still managed to kill him, wouldn't that mean that the owner of the Body Refining Pavilion has reached the divine transformation stage? Just as Mu Shue was puzzled, 3 enormous black battleships suddenly appeared in the southern sky and aggressively shot towards the Essence Fiend Valley. Battleships? Enemy attack. Mu Shue recalled the Grand Elder's warning and shivered. Her hands flashed with a spell, and a long bell rang throughout the entire Essence Fiend Valley. Almost at the same time, an unfathomable divine sense appeared in the depths of the valley and quickly probed outside. But before it could touch the 3 battleships, for powerful divine senses greeted it. 100-meter-wide divine sense storm exploded in the air, and invisible shockwaves surged in all directions. Some of the low-level demon cultivators outside the valley clutched their heads and screamed. The 2 waves of divine senses were somewhat wary of each other and dispersed upon contact. They didn't continue to collide. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Mu Shue also swept her gaze over the 3 battleships. Each battleship was more than 60 meters long and was densely covered in inscriptions. They also contained a complex restriction force, and there were many people moving about inside. And on the sides of the battleships, the names of the 3 sects were carved out of some kind of dark gold material. The Blood Refining Sect, the Yin Yang Sect, and the Body Refining Pavilion. The woman muttered, "Isn't the Body Refining Pavilion part of the Wei Kingdom? Why are they working together with the Qi Kingdom's Devil Sect?" At this moment, a solemn voice suddenly sounded in her ears. Junior Sister Mu, arrange for the Devil Cultivators of the 7 Evils sect to preside over the Grand Forbidden Formation. The elders of our sect will come to the Forbidden Grounds and activate the dual origin devil formation. When Mu Shui heard her great elder's voice transmission, she quickly calmed down. Countless seals flashed on her hands as sound transmission talismans were thrown out. A large number of high-level demonic cultivators from the Seven Fiends sect flew towards the various nodes of the array formation. A few breaths later, the gray fiendish energy that enveloped Essence Fiend Valley swiftly surged. A gray curtain of light rose, and then waves of thick black mist spread out of the valley. From time to time, all kinds of groans would come out from the fog. Countless illusions that would cause one's soul to become dizzy intertwined, as if it was some kind of incomparably powerful illusion. In the Forbidden Grounds of Essence Fiend Valley, a dozen or so nascent soul stage demonic cultivators stood. Each of them had a serious expression. Their hands did not stop moving, and one after another, rays of spirit light shot into the black curtain of light. The black spirit light trembled slightly and began to thin out. At the same time, it spread out in all directions. The gray fiendish energy in the valley that was affected by the spirit light seemed to have undergone some kind of change, turning into a dark yellow color. In the center of the Forbidden Grounds, a middle-aged man in brocade robes sat quietly in the devil pool. The appearance of the true devil pool was very different. Not only did the true devil intent within it disappear, but the true devil water had also turned into a dark yellow liquid, emitting a strong, fiendish energy. This person was the Saint Devil Sect's Great Elder, Huang Chong. He looked in the direction of the three battleships, and a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. Although there were only a dozen or so nascent soul stage cultivators from the Saint Devil Sect that came to the state of Qi, and their overall strength was not enough to fight against the local demonic sects of the state of Qi, but since he dared to come here to break through, he naturally had a plan. I have already successfully merged with the devil intent. The reason I did not rush to break through to the spirit severing stage was because I was waiting for you people to come. As long as the dual Yuan devil formation spreads the devil Qi here, I will be able to easily control the devil Yuan Qi in the valley. Huang Chong waved one hand, and a layer of faint black light appeared around his body, turning into an exquisite armor that wrapped around his body. In this place, I can use the special ability of the divine transformation stage to manifest my primordial Qi. Even the terrifying old devil Pang couldn't compete with me, let alone these people who came later. Oomph, and the body refining pavilion. It's good that you came. According to the calculations of that senior, there are no spirit-severing stage cultivators in this immortal realm. Junior brother Shui's death was probably due to Peng Yuanhua's betrayal. After I kill all your high-level cultivators, no one will disturb my breakthrough. As long as I enter the spirit-severing stage, the body-refining art is destined to be mine. Huang Chang's gaze became extremely cold. Outside the Essence Fiend Valley, 3 battleships floated in the air. They did not approach the illusion restriction of the Essence Fiend Valley. At the front of the middle battleship stood 2 men and 2 women. Other than Xian Jingshan and Lu Yanjun of the Blood Refining Sect, Su Junwan of the Yin Yang Sect, there was also an extremely thin middle-aged man. The dense dermic power that he revealed was as sharp as a storm of blades. If ordinary cultivators approached him, they would feel a sense of suffocation. This person was none other than Yulong Fei. Originally, due to his meridians, even if he forced a breakthrough, his meridians would not be able to contain the sharp dermic power of a great cultivator. However, after Lu Kuan strengthened them, it was completely different. It was equivalent to broadening his aptitude. In the past few years, apart from cultivating, Yulong Fei had also completely absorbed the sharp dermic power of the Gongjin Stone. The purity of his dermic power had increased, barely meeting the requirements for a breakthrough secret technique. During the battle for the demonic Dragon Mountain in the Body Refining Pavilion, he had successfully cultivated this secret technique with the help of the sharp dermic power of the Sword Valley. He had finally broken through and become a late nascent soul sword cultivator. Yu Longfei rubbed his temples. Feeling the divine will from before, his eyes were still filled with shock. As expected of the grand elder of the top sect of the great Zhou dynasty, the power of his divine will is so condensed. If the four of us had not worked together, any one of us would have been at a disadvantage. Qian Jingshan said with a serious expression, "If I'm not wrong, there's an extreme will hidden in his divine will. It seems to have fused with the power of will." Hearing this, Su Junwen could not help but say, "Fellow Taoist Qian, are you sure you're not wrong? The will of a demonic cultivator can only be the true demonic will. If he has comprehended it, it means that he has stabilized his demonic soul and stepped into the soul formation stage." Qian Jingshan shook his head and said, "Impossible. If this person has entered the soul formation stage, at least half of the demonic Yuan Qi in the Qi kingdom will be affected. Such a huge commotion cannot be concealed. And if he has not entered the soul formation stage, but has fused with the true demonic will, then there is only one possibility. That is, he is soaking in the demonic pool and is breaking through to the soul formation stage." Qian Jingshan looked at the forbidden formation of the Essence Fiend Valley and said with a frown, "Although this is the best time to attack, the forbidden formation of the Seven Evils sect is not simple. And the illusion formation outside is obviously brought by the Saint Devil sect. The magic treasures that we control with our divine will all be affected by the illusion. I'm afraid that we will not be able to attack the forbidden formation directly and will not be able to break it in a short time. But if we take too long, the other party may succeed in breaking through and become a soul formation demonic cultivator. At that time, we will have no chance of winning." Saying this, he looked at Yu Longfei and cupped his hands, saying, "Fellow Taoist Yu, Master Lu once said that the forbidden formation of the Seven Evils sect will be broken by the body, refining pavilion. I wonder." Yu Longfei smiled slightly and said, "Fellow Taoist Qian, don't worry. The pavilion master should have already started attacking. However, his ability is very powerful and needs some time to prepare. When the pavilion master breaks through the forbidden formation, we just need to follow behind and attack the Essence Fiend Valley. Everyone, please wait patiently." As if confirming Yu Longfei's words, as soon as he finished speaking, everyone could faintly hear a continuous rumbling sound. The surrounding air had unknowingly started to tremble slightly, and waves of invisible hurricanes surged violently. Chapter 1105. Qian Jingshan and the others were slightly stunned and couldn't help but look behind them. In the distant sky, a blazing bright spot appeared. Its brightness was even as dazzling as the sun in the sky. In the blue sky, a bright trail of flames was drawn. A meteorite from outer space. No, it's a little different. This suspected meteorite fireball was more than 100 miles away from them, and their divine sense couldn't detect it. It fell with unparalleled speed, and the blazing light was the flame produced by the friction with the air. The temperature of the flame was gradually rising as it accelerated. The sound of the flame exploding and the sound of the air being compressed shook the air and spread in all directions. Normally, meteorites from outer space would gradually wear down as they traveled further. However, this meteorite was expanding instead. At the same time, the blazing light of the flame gradually dimmed, and a purple-black halo appeared around it. It intertwined with the flame and turned into a cone-shaped dark flame that compressed the air. With the impact of the meteorite, the halo was still rapidly thickening. At 100 miles away, although Qian Jingshan and the others could detect it with their divine sense, they couldn't get close. The explosive flame was mixed with such rich, demonic essence, and if they got too close, it would even hurt their divine sense. Qian Jingshan said with dry lips, "Fellow Taoist Yu, is this the meteorite spell Master Lu used? Even the most powerful cultivator can't condense such rich demonic essence. Could it be that Master Lu has already entered the soul formation stage?" Yu Longfei looked at the rapidly approaching purple-black meteorite as if he was admiring a magnificent scene. When he heard this, he chuckled and said, "Fellow Taoist Qian, you're wrong. Pavilion Master hasn't entered the soul formation stage, and this spell isn't a meteorite spell." "Not a spell?" Yu Longfei said proudly. "That's right. This meteorite is the Pavilion Master's physical body." When the others heard this, they all had a look of disbelief. The entity in the halo is at least 3 feet long. How can it be a physical body? Judging from its speed, I'm afraid it has already accelerated from several hundred miles away. Although the force of impact is terrifying, the damage of this force is two-way. Even a peak-level 10 demonic beast with a strong physical body would be smashed into meat paste. Could it be that Master Lu's body is no weaker than a top-notch defensive magical equipment? Yu Longfei listened to everyone's words and said with a fervent look in his eyes, "Pavilion Master's physical body mystique is beyond imagination. This meteor mystique uses the strong defense of the physical body to combine the power of the devil essence Qi with the impact force of a few hundred miles of acceleration. Even if there are powerful illusionary restrictions outside Essence Fiend Valley, they are completely useless in the face of a physical attack like this. As for the forbidden formation inside, how can it withstand an attack that is comparable to a divine transformation cultivator?" Aside from shock, there was also intense fear in everyone's eyes. Just from the might alone, they could tell that neither the Seven Evils sect nor their own sect protective formation could block such an attack. Probably only a sect with a divine transformation cultivator in charge will be able to use an even more exquisite origin chi formation to defend. Disregarding the reactions of these great cultivators, the other demonic cultivators were even more shocked. Their mouths were slightly agape, as if they were children seeing fireworks for the first time. The extremely thick devil essence chi pressure caused the demonic power in most people's bodies to shrink back into their dantian in fear. Only those with cultivation above the middle stage of the nascent soul realm were slightly better off. As the meteor approached, the 3 battleships had to activate all the restrictions on them and descend at the same time. Even so, they were still shaken by the shocking wind pressure. Not long after, the meteor emitting purple-black flames streaked across the sky above everyone. The restrictions on the 3 battleships shone with rays of spirit light and barely managed to resist the ferocious air currents. Qian Jingshan and the others were still unable to tell if this meteor was made from a human body at such a close distance, but they could see that there was a long silver object spinning at high speed within the thick devil essence Qi. The purplish-black flames outside were also spinning at high speed, like a cone-shaped drill hole. The amazing spinning force even drove the air around the meteorite. Within a range of 20 feet, the air pressure was distorted. The meteor left behind a scorching hot air and a faint purple spirit chi tail flame above the battleships as it charged straight towards Essence Fiend Valley. Seeing this, Yu Longfei waved his hand and a large brass sword appeared in front of him. He said with an excited expression, "Everyone, we will follow closely behind the Pavilion Master and directly attack into the heart of Essence Fiend Valley. We will destroy the 7 Fiends sect in one go." With that, he became one with his sword and turned into a dazzling golden sword aura that shot forward. Qian Jingshan, Li Yanjun, and Su Junwen looked at each other. The power of a nascent soul surged in their bodies as they followed behind. The cultivators on the 3 battleships seemed to have received some kind of order as they all became excited. They started to move the battleships and charge forward. Just as the purple-black meteor was about to approach Essence Fiend Valley, everyone seemed to hear an angry roar that shook the heavens. The silver entity, which was originally 30 feet tall, expanded once again. In an instant, it became 50 feet tall. The purplish-black flames surrounding it instantly condensed and turned into the shape of a huge fist, which smashed down viciously. Rumble, the purple-black meteor carried an unparalleled, terrifying power as it approached the illusory restriction outside Essence Fiend Valley. Just the terrifying pressure on the outside was enough to squeeze out a large patch of illusory fog, as if it had bitten a large hole in a huge semicircle. Then, a dazzling purple sun rose up, and circles of vigorous waves of primordial chi surged wildly in all directions. More than half of the illusion restriction spell on the periphery was instantly shaken away, revealing the restriction spell on the inside. This powerful restriction that could withstand the combined attacks of many great cultivators had a hole of about 100 feet forcefully smashed open. This hole was still spreading outwards under the surging spirit chi. The thick gray light barrier shattered piece by piece. The dozens of demonic cultivators that were maintaining the formation were all heavily injured due to their mental connection. They all fell to the ground with haggard expressions. After breaking through the forbidden formation, the meteor's power seemed to have not been completely released. It continued to fall deeper into Essence Fiend Valley, shattering layer after layer of restrictions before finally crashing into the center of the valley. Boom! It was as if the entire world was trembling. The ground of Essence Fiend Valley trembled violently. Countless restrictions in the cave abodes flashed incessantly, resisting the terrifying tremors that seemed like an earth dragon turning over. Rings of shock waves mixed with purple-black halos rolled out in all directions. Countless profound restrictions were destroyed by the shock waves. Many of the pale yellow infernal auras in the valley turned back into gray infernal auras under the impact of the Yuan-Chi shockwaves. A giant crater that was at least 10,000 feet wide appeared on the ground of the center of Essence Fiend Valley. The original buildings here were all destroyed. Only a dim light barrier remained, trembling at the edge of the crater. A dozen or so demonic cultivators stood in this layer of restriction with pale faces. They stared blankly at all this. Saint Devil Sect's Grand Elder Huang Chong clenched his fists tightly. His body trembled slightly. His previously confident expression had long since disappeared. What replaced it was fear. If the forbidden area was located in the center of the valley, not to mention the dual origin devil formation, this fiendish demon pool that they had worked so hard to refine would have been destroyed by the terrifying meteor attack. Huang Chong's face was extremely pale. Such dense devil essence chi. Such a spirit chi manifestation ability. Could it be that the news of the fiendish demon pool was leaked? Could it be that the old monster of the Prime Devil Sect used this ability? This spirit chi wave even dispersed more than half of the fiendish chi in the valley. The devil intense effect was greatly reduced. The opponent even had the help of several great cultivators. What kind of spell was that? Among the spirit formation abilities recorded in our sect, there doesn't seem to be anything related to meteors. Wait, what is that? After a while, the devil essence chi wave gradually dissipated. In the center of the crater, there was a huge black body that was shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. Gradually, it turned into a badly mutilated middle-aged man. This person's body was covered in wounds. Bones could be seen in many places. However, his flesh and blood were rapidly recovering. Soon, a gray robe covered his body. This muscular man looked towards Huang Chong's direction and smiled. This must be Taoist Huang of the Saint Devil Sect. I am the owner of the Body Refining Pavilion, Lu Kuan. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.